My wife mocked me for being too average compared to her friends' husbands, until I landed a job that made them all jealous. The exact moment I knew my marriage was a sham wasn't when I found texts or another person's clothes. It was quieter, and 1,000 times more humiliating. It was in the car on the way home from her friend Chloe's house. The silence was ringing. My hands were at 10 and 2, the interior of our sensible, paid-off Honda Accord lit by the dashboard. She was angled toward the passenger window, the fake fur collar of her coat brushing her chin. "You were quiet tonight," she said. It wasn't an observation. It was an accusation. "Just tired, Sarah. Long week." "Right." She let the word hang in the air. We drove another mile. "You know," she started, and I braced myself. "Mark's new crypto fund just cleared 7 figures. He's flying Chloe to Paris for her birthday. Just for the weekend." "That's nice," I said, my voice flat. Mark was, in my opinion, a walking popped-collar polo shirt who got lucky on a Dogecoin pump. "And David," she continued, relentless, "is the top salesperson in his entire region. Again. They're giving him a new Audi A7. Giving it to him. Good for David. And Chad, my God, Chad. His bonus alone is more than you make in a year. Karen's getting her entire kitchen redone. Marble. From Italy." I gripped the wheel. "What's your point, Sarah?" "My point, Mike," she said, finally turning to look at me, her eyes invisible in the dark, "is that my friends, they're with men who do things. They're with winners. And I'm sitting there, smiling, while you talk about the new shelving you built in the garage." The words hit me like a physical blow. The shelving. I had been proud of that. It was solid maple, with dovetail joints I'd cut by hand. It had taken me 3 weekends. I look at them, and I'm proud for them," she whispered, the kill shot. "And then I look at you, and I just wish you were more. Why are you so average?" Average. That was the word. Not steady, or reliable, or kind. Not the man who fixed her car when it broke down, the man who held her when her mom got sick, the man who paid his half of the mortgage on our average suburban house for 8 years without fail. I was average. I didn't say anything for the rest of the drive. When we got home, she went to the bedroom. I went to the garage. I stood in front of my new, beautifully built, perfectly average shelves. And I felt a kind of cold, quiet rage I had never experienced before. It wasn't the rage that makes you punch a wall. It was the rage that makes you burn a city to the ground, brick by brick, starting with your own house. She thought I was average. She and her friends, with their crypto brothers and sales bots and soulless finance drones. Fine. I'd show them what average could do. Let me back up. Before you think my wife is a monster, you have to understand the context. Sarah and I met in our mid-20s. I was working IT support for a regional bank, and she was a junior coordinator at a marketing firm. We were equals. Our salaries were within a few $1,000s of each other. We built a life on a shared future. We bought a modest house. We adopted a rescue dog. We had brunch. We went to the movies. We were happy. I was happy anyway. My job was what you'd call unsexy. I was a senior data analyst. It wasn't just turning it off and on again. I managed databases, ran queries, and built reports that told executives why they were losing money. It was stable. $85,000 a year, great benefits, 401k match. In our medium cost of living city, combined with her $75,000, we were doing just fine. We were comfortable. But comfortable is a dirty word to some people. About 3 years ago, Sarah got a promotion. She moved to a trendier, high-end agency. And that's where she met Chloe. Chloe was her new work wife, and she was the gateway drug to the A-team, as I privately called them. Chloe, Amanda, and Karen. And with them came their husbands, Mark, David, and Chad. This group became our entire social life. And every single get-together was a barely disguised pissing contest. Mark, Chloe's husband, was the new money guy. He'd made a bundle on some cryptocurrency in 2021 and now ran a consulting firm, which as far as I could tell, involved him tweeting about the future of finance from a home office. He was loud, wore offensively expensive watches, and treated every conversation as a chance to explain blockchain to the simpletons. David, Amanda's husband, was the sales bro. He was all charisma, white teeth, and company logo polos. He worked for a big tech firm, and his entire personality was his quota. He talked about crushing it, killing the game, and grinding. Every object in their house was a prize from a sales competition. And Chad, Karen's husband, was the old money, or at least big money guy. He was an investment banker. He was quieter than the other two, which made him seem more sophisticated, but his arrogance was just better packaged. He'd sigh about his 90-hour weeks, then casually mention the multi-million-dollar deal he just closed. And then there was me. Mike. The IT guy. The guy who brought a decent six-pack of craft beer to the party instead of a $200 bottle of wine. The guy who talked about his garden, or a new video game, or the shelves he was building. At first, the digs were subtle. "Oh, Mike, you still at the bank?" Chad would ask, nursing a scotch. "Stable is good. Stable is nice." "Hey, Mike," David would say, "you ever think about getting into sales? A smart guy like you could be clearing six figures in no time. This data stuff is kind of a dead end, isn't it?" Mark was the worst. "Dude, you're an IT guy. You should be all over Web3. We're building the new internet, and you're just maintaining the old one. It's like owning a horse in 1910, bro." I'd laugh it off. "Someone's got to keep the lights on, guys." But Sarah, she didn't laugh. She'd get this tight, polite smile on her face and change the subject. And on the car rides home, the critiques would start. "Did you have to talk about your woodworking project for 10 minutes, Mike?" Chad was trying to explain the new global market trends. "I think it's sweet that you like your job, but database optimization doesn't exactly land in that group." Mark was offering you a real opportunity. You could have at least pretended to be interested in his NFT project. "It's a scam, Sarah. It's a cartoon monkey picture that costs $50,000. It's a digital Beanie Baby. It's the future. God, you're so stuck. You're just content to be stuck." It escalated. We went from dinners to a weekend trip to a lake house. David had won for being Top Gun of Q3. The entire weekend, the three of them sat on the deck, laptops open, talking about their portfolios. "I'm up 18% on my new fund," Mark declared. "My commission check last month was $22,000, David shot back. "Just reallocated my bonus into emerging markets," Chad murmured. "High risk, high reward." They turned to me. I was grilling burgers. "Mike, what's your portfolio look like?" Mark asked, with a shark's grin. "I've got a 401k, I said, flipping a patty. "Mostly index funds. Target date retirement. It's average." I said the word on purpose. Sarah, who was sitting with the wives, visibly flinched. Chloe, Mark's wife, laughed. "Oh, Mike. You're adorable. A 401k. It's like a little savings account, right? So cute." Sarah's face went pale, then red. She got up and went inside. She didn't speak to me for the rest of the night. The final straw, before the average comment in the car, was the Aspen incident. The group chat blew up. Chloe, SKI trip. Skier Aspen, first week of February. We're getting a massive chalet. David, IN. Amanda is already shopping for new ski suits. Chad, confirmed. Book it. I looked at the message. I looked at our joint account. We had about $15,000 in our fund savings, which was really our "oh god the roof is leaking" fund. A trip like this with them would be $5,000. Minimum. For a week. I texted Sarah privately. "Hey, this Aspen trip, that's a little steep, don't you think?" She replied instantly. "What do you mean?" "I mean it's thousands of dollars for a week. We're trying to save." "Save for what, Mike? For our average retirement? For more average furniture? Everyone else can just go. Why can't we?" "Because Mark is an idiot who got lucky, David lives on commission, and Chad is a 1%er. We're not them. I'm not them." The three dots on her phone bubbled, then stopped. Then bubbled again. "I know you're not. I'm reminded of it. Every single day. I didn't go to Aspen. I told them I didn't have the vacation days." Sarah went. She used $4,000 from our joint savings. It's my half, she said. She sent me pictures from the chalet. Her, Chloe, Amanda, and Karen in a hot tub, raising champagne glasses. The husbands were presumably off crushing a black diamond slope. She came back with a frozen, sun-kissed face and a new icy distance. A week later, we had the dinner at Chloe's. The one where I talked about my shelves. The one where, on the ride home, she called me average. So there I was in my garage, at 1 a.m., staring at the physical manifestation of my average life. The cold rage was still there. It was a perfect, clean, quiet engine. She was right about one thing. I was content. I was content to fix things, to build things, to be steady. I'd thought that was the point. I thought that was what love and partnership were built on. I was wrong. It wasn't built on stability. It was built on status. And my status was average. Mark, David, and Chad. What did they have? They had high risk, high reward, high status jobs. They weren't IT guys. They were a crypto evangelist, a sales director, and an investment banker. It was all just branding. But I was a data guy. I didn't evangelize, I analyzed. And my analysis of the situation was simple. My wife's respect for me was inversely proportional to her friend's husband's net worth. The equation was broken. The only way to fix it was to change the variable. My variable. I went inside. She was asleep, or pretending to be. I went to my home office, the average second bedroom with a desk from IKEA. I opened my laptop. My job at the bank was fine. But she was right. It was a dead end. I was a good data analyst, maybe even a great one. But I was using old tools for a company that didn't value innovation. I was running SQL queries on ancient Oracle databases. The world was moving on. Mark, for all his bluster, was right about one thing. The world was changing. Not because of his cartoon monkeys, but because of something else. Artificial intelligence. Machine learning. I'd been reading about it for years. I'd tinkered. I understood the concepts. My background in data and statistics was the perfect foundation. But I'd never taken it seriously. It was a hobby. It was tinkering. That night, it stopped being a hobby. I opened a browser and found a syllabus for a graduate-level program in machine learning from Stanford. It was all online. For free. Lectures, notes, problem sets. I looked at the first problem set. It was all linear algebra and multivariable calculus. I hadn't touched that stuff in 15 years. I dug out my old college textbooks. I bought a new notebook. At 2 a.m., while my wife slept in our bed, dreaming of Aspen, I sat at my cheap desk and solved my first equation. My life split in two. There was Day Mike, who went to the bank, sat in meetings, ran his queries, and collected his average paycheck. I smiled at my colleagues. I fixed the printer. I was the same reliable, steady guy. But Night Mike was a different person. The second my shift ended, I was home. I'd make a cup of coffee, go to my office, and close the door. I'd work until 2 or 3 a.m. Every single night. I started with the math. It was brutal. It was like trying to chisel concrete with a plastic spoon. But every night, a little more of it came back. I devoured Khan Academy. I filled notebooks with equations. After 2 months, I was ready for the code. I started with Python. I learned NumPy and Pandas. I moved on to TensorFlow and PyTorch. I was building models. Simple ones at first, predicting housing prices, identifying handwritten numbers. It was the hardest thing I had ever done. But my God, it was alive. This wasn't just data. This was magic. You fed a machine 1,000,000 data points, and it learned. It predicted. It wasn't just maintaining the old world, it was building a new one. Sarah, at first, didn't notice. Or she noticed, and she was glad. I was busy. I was working on a project. This became my new excuse. The A-team invites would come in. Chloe, wine and cheese at our place, Saturday. Mark's opening a 2005 Bordeaux. Sarah, you're coming, right? Don't be weird. Me, can't. I have to work on my project. Work? On a Saturday night? What project? It's a data thing. It's complicated. She was annoyed, but also intrigued. Ambition was attractive, even if the details were boring. Fine, she'd say, and go alone. This was the pattern for 6 months. She lived her life with her friends. I lived my life in front of a glowing screen, mainlining coffee and complex algorithms. She'd come home late, smelling of expensive wine, flush with a night of bragging and status jockeying. David is taking Amanda to Hawaii, she'd say, slipping into bed. I'd reply, my brain still trying to debug a neural network. Chad's firm is giving him a wellness bonus. It's $30,000. For wellness. That's nice, honey. Mike, are you even listening? What is this project? Are you trying to get a promotion at the bank? Something like that, I'd say. The truth was, I'd stopped caring about the bank. I'd stopped caring about the promotion. The bank was a shell, a place I went to fund my new obsession. The why had changed. I started this journey fueled by rage. I wanted to show them. I wanted to make a pile of money so big that Chad's bonus looked like a rounding error. But somewhere in those late nights, the rage had cooled. It had refined itself. It wasn't rage anymore. It was focus. I wasn't doing it to show them anything. I was doing it because for the first time in my life, I wasn't maintaining. I was building. And the thing I was building was brilliant. After about 8 months, I had a portfolio. I had built a bot that could analyze market sentiment on social media and predict stock movements with, in my backtesting, 68% accuracy. I built an image generator from scratch. I built a complex model that could predict patient readmission rates for hospitals. I was ready. I didn't apply to Google or Facebook. That was for kids. I didn't apply to another bank. That was a lateral move. I aimed higher. I started applying to quantitative hedge funds. AI research labs. The real places. The places that didn't care about your sales quota or your crypto tweets. The places that only cared about one thing. Could you do the math? The rejections came fast. Thank you for your interest, but your background in IT support is not a fit. We require a master's degree or PhD in a quantitative field. While your portfolio is impressive, we've decided to move forward with other candidates. David was right. The IT guy label was a dead end. Sarah was getting impatient. My project was now a source of friction. I don't get it, Mike, she said one night, after I'd skipped another dinner party. You've been locked in that room for almost a year. You don't talk to me. You don't come out. You're less present than you ever were. And for what? The bank hasn't given you a raise. You're still just average. But now you're average and boring. Average and boring. A new low. I just nodded. I'm tired, Sarah. I'm going to bed. I got another rejection the next day. I felt like a fraud. I was a guy in a spare bedroom playing with code, pretending I could hang with the big boys. Mark and David and Chad, at least they were really doing it. They were closing the deals, making the money. I was just a guy with a GitHub repository. I almost gave up. I almost deleted the files. I'd just go back to being Mike. The reliable, average, boring IT guy. At least I'd get some sleep. Then I got an email. It was from a company I'd never heard of. Nexus AI. The email was one line. Your market sentiment model. It's flawed, but clever. We want to talk. Are you free tomorrow? It was signed by a Dr. Eris Thorne. I Googled him. He didn't have a LinkedIn. He didn't have a Twitter. He had a list of published papers. Papers with titles I could barely understand. He was a legend in the AI community. And he thought my model was clever. I had the video call the next day. Dr. Thorne looked like a wizard. He had a long gray beard and piercing blue eyes. He didn't ask me where I went to school. He didn't ask about my job at the bank. He put an equation on the screen. Read this back to me, he said. Explain the loss function. I did. He gave me a coding problem. You have 1 hour. Optimize this. It took me 45 minutes. He just stared at me through the camera. Your math is self-taught. It's rustic. But your logic is sound. You build like an engineer, not a scientist. Is that bad? I asked. It's different. We have enough scientists. We need engineers. There were 6 more interviews. A 4-hour technical exam that made my brain feel like it was going to leak out of my ears. A panel interview with 5 people who all looked as smart as Dr. Thorne. The final interview was with the head of operations. A woman in a sharp suit. This one, I thought, would be the culture fit interview. It wasn't. Mr. Jensen, she said, not smiling. Your background is a security risk. A bank? It's a swamp. You're also a hobbyist. We are not. We are the most advanced private AI lab in the country. We build predictive models for sensitive clients. Our work is not public. Our successes are not public. Our failures are certainly not public. You will sign an NDA so thick it could stop a bullet. You will not be able to talk shop with your friends. You will not be able to post about your grind on LinkedIn. Most days, you won't even be able to tell your wife what you're working on. Do you understand? Yes, I said. This isn't a 9-to-5 job. This is a 60-hour-a-week job. Minimum. The problems are hard. You will fail, a lot. It's not average. It's not stable. Is that what you want? I thought about my shelves. I thought about the word average. Yes, I said. It is. Good. We'll be in touch. The call ended. I waited for a week. I heard nothing. I was a wreck. I'd failed. I was the hobbyist, the IT guy. I was a joke. Sarah was planning another trip with Chloe. They were going to a wellness retreat in Arizona. Another $3,000. I didn't even have the energy to fight about it. You should come, Mike, she said, not unkindly. You look like hell. You need to relax. I can't. The project. Right. Well, let me know when it's over. The phone rang. An unknown number. It was the ops woman. Mike, she said. Still no small talk. Your background check cleared. We need to talk compensation. I braced myself. I was making $85,000. I was hoping for $130,000. Maybe $140,000, if I was lucky. Your base salary will be $250,000. I stopped breathing. I must have misheard. I'm sorry, what? $250,000. Your target annual bonus is 40% of base, contingent on performance. You'll also receive a signing bonus of $50,000, to be paid on your first paycheck, and $200,000 in restricted stock units, vesting over 4 years. We'll need you to start in 2 weeks. Do you accept? I couldn't form words. I just made a sound. Mike? Are you there? Yes. Yes. I accept. Yes. Good. Welcome to Nexus. Our legal team will send the paperwork. Read it. All of it. She hung up. I sat at my IKEA desk. I looked at my wall, which was covered in sticky notes of algorithms. $250,000 base. $50,000 signing. $100,000 potential bonus. I did the math. My average $85,000 job. My total compensation, my potential compensation, was more than $400,000 a year. It was more than Chad's bonus. It was more than David's commission. It was, in all likelihood, more than Mark's entire crypto portfolio was actually worth. I started to laugh. It was a weird, gulping, manic laugh. I was Mike. The IT guy. The average, boring, reliable shelving unit builder. I was now, by a very large margin, the highest earner in Sarah's entire toxic social circle. And nobody knew. I didn't tell Sarah. Not at first. I was processing. I gave my 2 weeks' notice at the bank. My boss was shocked. But Mike, you're our most reliable guy. Where are you going? Just a new opportunity. A startup. Oh, risky. Well, don't burn your bridges. Your average job will always be here for you. I smiled. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. My last day, I packed up my desk mug and my little plant. I walked out of that bank and felt like I was floating. My start date at Nexus was a Monday. I told Sarah I got the new job. Oh my God, Mike. That's great. The project actually paid off. Where? It's a research lab. An AI company. It's called Nexus. Nexus? Never heard of them. Is it like David's company? Not really. It's smaller. Oh. A startup. Well, is the pay good? Please tell me it's better than the bank. It's better, I said. It's a lot better. Good, she said, genuinely relieved. God, that's a relief. Maybe now you can finally relax. You've been a ghost for a year. I've missed you. She kissed me. We have to celebrate. Let's have Chloe and Mark over. We can order champagne. Not tonight, Sarah. I have to prep for my first day. And the new job, it's going to be intense. The 60-hour weeks, that's real. Her face fell. Oh. So, this isn't over? The project is just the job now. This is the job, I said. The first 2 weeks were a blur. It was exactly as they'd said. Brutal. I was drinking from a fire hose. The math was insane. The problems were things I'd never even considered. I was the dumbest person in every room, and it was the most thrilling thing I had ever felt. I wasn't just Mike the IT guy. I was a researcher, and I was part of a team that was building, as Dr. Thorne put it, the engine of the new world. I was working 12-hour days. I'd come home, my brain completely fried, eat whatever Sarah put in front of me, and pass out. The first paycheck hit at the end of the second week. It included the signing bonus. The number that landed in my personal checking account was $39,400. After taxes. I stared at it. It was almost half my old annual salary. In one paycheck. That night, I sat at my home computer. Sarah was in the other room, on a video call with Chloe, laughing about something. I opened our joint checking account. The one she'd used for Aspen. The one she was about to use for the Arizona wellness trip. I transferred $4,000. Memo, Aspen. Reimbursed. I transferred another $3,000. Memo, Arizona. Have fun. I transferred another $20,000. Memo, roof fund/rainy day. Then I transferred my new, much larger half of the monthly mortgage payment. I closed the laptop. About 10 minutes later, the video call stopped. I heard her footsteps. She appeared in the doorway of my office. Her face was pale. She was holding her phone, the banking app open. "Mike," she said, her voice a tiny squeak. "What did you do?" "What do you mean?" "The bank. Our account. There's a typo. There's $27,000. From you. What did you do? Did you take out a loan? Is this from Mark's crypto fund? Did you invest our money?" I leaned back in my chair. No, I didn't take out a loan. And I would never ever give our money to Mark. Then, where? What is this? I opened my laptop. I logged into my personal payroll account. I turned the screen toward her. She stared at it. She read the line items. Base pay. Signing bonus. Federal tax withheld. State tax withheld. Net pay. She read the numbers, and her brain. You could see the moment it broke. She kept looking at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. Base. Pay. $250,000. She whispered the words. "Mike, this isn't real." "It's real, Sarah. $250,000. And the signing bonus," I pointed out. "That's the $50,000, minus taxes." "And the bonus," she said, her eyes wide. "The 40%. Target bonus. If I perform. So yeah. Another $100,000, maybe." She sat down. Hard. On the floor of my office. She just slid down the wall. "So, you make more than Chad." It wasn't a question. It was a dazed calculation. I think so, yeah. You make more than Mark and David combined. Probably. Mark's funds are fake, and David's commissions are volatile. This is my base. It doesn't go down. She just stared at me. The woman who, months earlier, had called me average in the front seat of our Honda. Who had wished I was more. You're, she stuttered. I'm what, Sarah? An IT guy. A hobbyist. She shook her head, and for the first time, I saw something new in her eyes. It wasn't love. It wasn't respect. It was awe. It was the same look she got when Chad talked about his deals or Mark showed off his watch. And it made me sick to my stomach. Why didn't you tell me? She demanded, her voice suddenly strong. You let me plan that Arizona trip. You let me think we were still just us. We are us, Sarah. This is just a new job. A new job? A new job? This isn't a job, Mike. This is a different life. We're rich. We're not rich, Sarah. We're comfortable. Very comfortable. She jumped up, her face flushed with a terrifying manic energy. We have to tell them. Tell them what? Chloe. Amanda. Karen. Oh my God, we have to have them over. Now. This weekend. I'll buy that Bordeaux. The one Mark is always bragging about. I'll buy a case of it. Sarah, stop. I don't want to. Don't want to what? Don't want them to know? Mike, are you insane? You won. You freaking won. It's not a contest, Sarah. Of course it is, she yelled, her eyes bright. It always has been. And you just won. She ran out of the room, phone in hand. I could hear her, a minute later, in the kitchen. Chloe. Hi. Yes. Listen, you guys have to come over Saturday. All of you. Why? Oh, no reason. Mike got a new job, and we're just feeling like celebrating. Yes. Our place. Bring nothing. See you then. I sat in my office. The average room that was now the command center for my $400,000 a year career. I'd done it. I'd set out to prove her wrong. And I had. I'd proven her so wrong that I'd broken her brain. The celebration was the most surreal night of my life. Sarah was a woman possessed. She'd spent over $1,000 on wine and cheese. She'd hired a caterer for small bites. Our average house looked like a staging ground for a Real Housewives episode. The A-team arrived, one by one, with their usual swagger. Hey, Mike. David bellowed, slapping me on the back. Congrats on the new gig. Heard you're at a startup. Risky, man. Risky. Hope you got some equity. Something like that, I said, handing him a glass of champagne that cost more than my first bike. Place looks great, Chad said, nodding approvingly at the catered food. Sarah, you're really celebrating this. Must be a good move for Mike. Oh, it is, Sarah said, gliding by. Her smile was sharp. It's a very good move. We did the small talk. They bragged. Mark's new NFT project was blowing up. David had smashed his quota. Chad was summering in the Hamptons. I just nodded and sipped my drink. I was quiet. Old, average Mike. Finally, we were all in the living room. Chloe raised her glass. Okay, Sarah. You've been mysterious all night. What's the big secret? Mike, tell us about this new job. What are you like, VP of IT now? All eyes turned to me. Sarah was practically vibrating beside me on the sofa. No, I said. I'm not in IT anymore. Oh. Chad said, his interest peaked. What's the field? AI research. Machine learning. Mark laughed. Oh, AI. Hot topic, bro. Hot topic. I'm actually looking into some AI-driven crypto assets. We should talk. We could integrate your... I don't think so, Mark, I said, cutting him off. Politely. Oh. Okay. Mark looked confused. So where is this? David asked. What's the company? Anyone we know? I doubt it, I said. It's a private lab. It's called Nexus AI. I watched their faces. David and Mark were blank. Clueless. But Chad froze. His glass stopped halfway to his mouth. His blood drained from his face level of pale. "I'm sorry," Chad said, his voice suddenly very, very sober. "What did you say it was called?" Nexus AI. Chad just stared at me. Nexus. The Nexus? Eris Thorne's lab. I nodded. That's the one. He's my boss. David and Mark still didn't get it. "What's a Nexus?" David asked, munching on a crab puff. Chad ignored him. He was looking at me like he'd never seen me before. You work for Nexus? They don't hire people. They poach heads of department from MIT. They're a black box. They're the biggest quant drivers on the planet. They don't hire bank analysts." "I was an IT guy, actually," I said. The room was silent. The wives were looking at their husbands, who were all looking at Chad, who was looking at me. "Chad, buddy, you look like you've seen a ghost," Mark said nervously. "What's the deal?" Chad finally broke his stare from me and looked at Mark and David. "The deal, Mark, is that Nexus AI is probably the single most valuable and secretive tech company that isn't on the stock market. The people who work there, they're not IT guys. It's like working for the CIA, but for money. The comp. Jesus Christ, the comp." He trailed off. Sarah, who had been waiting for this exact moment, swooped in. Her voice was light, breezy, and dripping with poison. "Oh, the comp is silly," she said, sipping her champagne. "Mike's signing bonus alone. Well, let's just say my Arizona trip is taken care of. And our roof." She smiled. "And a new car for me. A very nice new car." Now they all got it. The color drained from Chloe's face. Amanda's smile was frozen on. "Well, what's the base then?" David asked, trying to sound casual, like he was comparing sales figures. "David, that's so tacky," Amanda hissed. "No, it's fine." Sarah laughed. "Mike, what is it?" $250. $250 base, I confirmed, feeling like a traitor to my old, average self. I heard Chloe choke on her drink. Mark, for the first time ever, was completely silent. David just did the math in his head. $250. Base. Plus, bonus. Plus, stock. "And I can't talk about what I do," I added, delivering the kill shot the ops woman had given me. NDA. Security clearance. You know how it is. I can't talk about it. The three most powerful words in the status game. The party died. It was beautiful and horrible to watch. The bragging just stopped. Mark tried, one last time. "Well, you know, money isn't everything. It's about disruption. It's about the future." "Oh, Mike is building the future," Sarah said, patting my arm. "He just can't talk about it." They left, quickly. The excuses were lame. Got an early morning. Kids. Headache. When they were gone, Sarah and I stood in the living room, surrounded by half-eaten expensive food. She turned to me, her eyes blazing. She threw her arms around my neck and kissed me. It wasn't the kiss of a partner. It was the kiss of a fan. A groupie. "I am so proud of you," she breathed. "You destroyed them. You absolutely destroyed them." And I just stood there in the wreckage of our old average life and felt nothing. Just cold. That was 6 months ago. Life is different. The job at Nexus is everything. It's the hardest, most fascinating, most soul-crushing and rewarding work I've ever done. I am, as Dr. Thorne put it, a decent engineer. I'm good at it. The 60-hour weeks are real. I'm up at 5 a.m., I'm home at 8 p.m., I'm working most Saturdays. I am a machine. Sarah bought a new Mercedes. A white GLE coupe. She paid cash. She redid the kitchen. Marble. From Italy. The A-team is gone. Chloe still texts Sarah, but it's different. The power dynamic is shattered. The group doesn't meet anymore. We're not invited. Or more accurately, they know they're not on our level. I get LinkedIn requests from David and Mark almost weekly. David wants me to pass his resume along. Mark wants to pick my brain about AI synergy. I ignore them. Chad actually called me drunk at 2 a.m. He just kept slurring, "I don't get it, man. A bank analyst. How, I hate my job, Mike. How did you get out?" I told him I had to go and hung up. But the real story is Sarah, my wife. She loves Nexus Mike. She adores him. She brags about me. She's become them. "Oh, we can't make it to that wedding," I heard her tell her mom. "Nexus is flying Mike to Zurich for a conference." Yes. Zurich. I'm going to go shopping in Geneva. Mike's bonus just hit. We're thinking about a vacation house. Maybe on the water. She's never been happier. She's never been more proud of me. And I have never felt more alone. Our house is perfect. Our cars are new. Our bank account is overflowing. And the entire thing is a lie. I didn't save my marriage. I just put a new, more expensive coat of paint on it. She didn't want me. She wanted a winner. She wanted a guy who could shut up Chad. I did it. I became that guy. But I lost Mike in the process. I don't build shelves anymore. I don't have time. I don't play video games. I don't tinker. I just work. I come home, I listen to my wife talk about the things we can buy, and then I go to sleep so I can wake up and do it all again. I'm sitting in my garage right now. It's 3 a.m. I have to be up for a meeting in 2 hours. I'm looking at those old shelves I built. The maple ones. The average ones. They're dusty. They're covered in boxes of Sarah's old average life clothes she won't throw away. I won. I won the game. I got the high score. She's in our expensive bed, in our expensive house, dreaming of our expensive future. She finally has the husband she always wanted. But average Mike? The guy who liked building things with his hands? He's gone. And I miss him. I really, really miss him. The total value of the estate, liquid and appraised, is $1,212,450. My sister Sarah, sitting across the polished mahogany table, actually perked up. You could see the calculator in her eyes click on. $606,000. Her husband David, a man whose resting face was a smug smirk, put a hand on her knee. He was probably already shopping for a new boat. I just felt empty. Numb. My wife, Lisa, who looked like she had aged 20 years in the last 8, squeezed my hand under the table. Her fingernails dug into my palm. The lawyer, Mr. Haddon, a man who had known our family for decades, cleared his throat. He looked at me, then at Sarah. His face was pure granite. "However," he said, and the word hung in the air-conditioned room, "there is an addendum, and a private letter from Helen, which she instructed me to read aloud. This will explain the final distribution." He rustled the papers. Sarah's smile tightened. "To my daughter Sarah," Haddon read, "I leave the sum of $10,000. The silence that followed was absolute. Sarah's face went white. David's smirk vanished, replaced by a baffled, slack-jawed look. "What? Is that a typo?" Sarah whispered. Haddon ignored her and turned his gaze to me. "And to my son Mark, I leave the remainder of my estate. The sum of $1,192,450. The house, the contents, the trust, and all savings." I think I stopped breathing. Lisa's grip went from pain to a desperate clutch. Sarah shot out of her chair so fast it screeched on the floor. "What? No. That's impossible. He poisoned her. He influenced her. We are contesting this, you thief." She was pointing at me, her face a mask of purple rage. I just looked at her. I didn't say anything. What could I say? I was just as stunned as she was. "Please, Mrs. Peterson," Haddon said, his voice sharp. "Sit down. As I said, there is a letter. Your mother was of perfectly sound mind when she wrote this. And she was very thorough." Sarah, shaking, slowly sat. David just stared at the lawyer, his mind clearly racing, looking for an angle. Your mother first drafted this addendum 8 years ago, Haddon said, looking directly at me. Right after she moved into your home. She had it updated, reviewed, and re-signed in my presence every 6 months until she passed. Her letter will explain everything. He put on his glasses and began to read the letter my mother had written. And just like that, I was 8 years in the past, on the phone call that had destroyed my life, and apparently, just saved it. She can't stay there, Sarah. She fell again. It was a Tuesday. I remember I was in my garage, trying to fix a leaking hose bib. My sister's voice came through the phone, cool and distant, filtered through whatever expensive Bluetooth thing she had. Well, did you call her doctor? What did they say? They said she's fine for now. A sprained wrist. But that's not the point, Sarah. The point is she's 74, she's alone, and she's falling. Her neighbor found her this time. What if he hadn't been home? She was on the kitchen floor for 3 hours. A long sigh. The "you're stressing me out" sigh. Mark, what do you want me to do? I'm in Chicago. You're 20 minutes away from her. I want you to be part of this decision. She cannot live alone anymore. Period. We have 2 options. She goes into a facility, or one of us takes her in. A facility sounds practical, Sarah said immediately. I've seen some lovely places near me, actually. We could move her up here. They have water aerobics. A facility, I repeated, tasting the word. It felt like a betrayal. We're just going to put her in a home? We're not putting her anywhere, Mark. We're placing her in a secure, professional environment. It's the responsible thing to do. And who's paying for that? Have you seen the costs? We're talking $5,000–6,000 a month. Minimum. Well, we'll have to figure that out. The house. Sell the house. I was yelling now. Sell her home to pay for a room in a place she doesn't want to be. Mark, be realistic. I can't take her in. You know our situation. I did know her situation. She was married to David, a private equity ghoul. They lived in a 6,000 square foot monstrosity in a gated community. They had 2 cars that cost more than my house. They had a housekeeper. What situation, Sarah? The guest wing? Is it being renovated? That's not fair, she snapped. David's work is very high stress. We entertain. We can't have disruptions. And my house, it's just not set up for it. It's all marble floors and sharp edges. It's not safe for her. I was speechless. It's not safe. You know what I mean. And I'm just not a caregiver, Mark. I'm not. I'd be terrible at it. It's better for her if she's with professionals. So that's it? You're out? You'll help pay? I'll help find a nice place, she corrected. We can use the money from the house, and I'll contribute. Of course I will. I hung up. I don't even think I said goodbye. I went inside and found my wife Lisa, making dinner. Our kids, Emily, then 16 and Josh 14, were at the table, buried in their phones. She's not going to a home, I said. Lisa turned around, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She saw my face and she knew. Sarah. She can't. Her house isn't safe. Her husband entertains. Lisa closed her eyes for just a second. We weren't rich. I was a high school history teacher. Lisa worked part-time as a medical receptionist. We were getting by, which is the polite term for one emergency away from disaster. So, Lisa said quietly, she's coming here. It wasn't a question. We can't afford a home, Lise. And I can't. I won't be the son who sold her house to stick her in a ward. She'll take the den, Lisa said, already planning. We'll have to move your desk to the bedroom. The kids won't be able to have friends over too. We'll make it work, I said, cutting her off, because if I let her finish that thought, the reality of it would settle in. Yeah, she said, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. We'll make it work. And so it began. The first year was transitional. That's the word we used. It's a transitional period. Mom was grateful. Over the top, sickeningly grateful. Oh, Lisa, you shouldn't have. Oh, Mark, this is too much. I'm such a burden. She wasn't a burden, not really. She was just there. All the time. We moved her in. We sold her house. This, in itself, was a nightmare. Sarah flew in for one day to help. Her help consisted of walking through the house with a yellow legal pad, marking keep or sell on items. She claimed all of Mom's jewelry, David can get it appraised, and the good china, it'll just get broken at your place. I was too tired to fight. The house sold for $250,000. We all sat down, me, Lisa, Sarah, and Mom. Okay, Sarah said, in her take-charge voice. This is simple. We put this in a high-yield savings account. We use it for Mom's expenses. Her prescriptions, her clothes, whatever. It'll be the Mom Fund. Mark, you can have the debit card. It sounded fair. It sounded reasonable. What about care? Lisa asked, her first time speaking up. If, when. Mark and I can't handle it. If she needs a nurse. That's what this money is really for, right? Absolutely, Sarah said, beaming. That's exactly what it's for. This way, Mark, you're not bearing the financial burden. We're all in this together. The Mom Fund was established. And Sarah flew back to Chicago, her duty done. For the first 6 months, it was almost nice. Mom would cook dinner sometimes. She'd fold laundry. She'd tell the kids stories about our dad, who had passed 10 years prior. But the house shrank. The den had been the kids' TV and video game room. Now it was Grandma's room. They were teenagers. They were loud. And Mom in the evenings was not. Mark, Lisa would whisper in bed, can you please tell Josh to turn that game down? Your mother is trying to sleep. Emily, I'd hiss, get off the phone. It's 10 p.m. Grandma's light is still on. The kids grew resentful. They started spending more time in their rooms, or at friends' houses. Our house, once a chaotic happy hub, became a quiet, tense library. Then, about 8 months in, the real decline began. It wasn't a fall. It was her mind. It started small. She'd forget a name. She'd put the milk in the pantry. Harmless. Then it got, not harmless. I came home from work. Lisa was at the kitchen table, her head in her hands. What's wrong? She left, Lisa said, her voice muffled. What? Left where? I don't know. I was in the shower. I came out, and the front door was open. She's gone, Mark. The panic that hit me was cold and electric. We called the police. We ran through the neighborhood, screaming her name. We found her 3 blocks away, at the park, sitting on a swing. She was in her housecoat and slippers. Mom? What are you doing? Are you okay? She looked at me, her eyes wide and terrified. I was looking for Robert, she said, naming her brother who had died in Vietnam. That was the night Lisa and I installed the new locks, high up on the doors, the kind you need a key for, even from the inside. That was the night our house officially became a prison. When I told Sarah about it, her reaction was predictable. Oh my God, Mark. That's awful. See? This is what I was worried about. She's not safe with you. You're not equipped. This is why we need to look at facilities. She had a bad day, Sarah. We've handled it. Handled it? You had to lock her in. That's horrible. For her. And for you. David and I were just looking at this one place, the Willows. It has a memory care unit. I'm telling you, we should use the Mom Fund and... No. Mark, don't be a martyr. It's not fair to Lisa. It's not fair to the kids. And it's not fair to her to abandon her. It's not abandonment, Mark. It's care. We hung up on each other. The Mom Fund had $250,000. It felt like a lot of money. It was not. The first big withdrawal was $15,000. We had to make the first floor bathroom accessible. Rip out the tub. Put in a walk-in shower with a seat. Widen the doorway for a walker. Put in grip bars. I sent the receipts to Sarah, just to be transparent. She texted back, $15K? Mark, couldn't you have just gotten one of those shower stools? Seems excessive. That was year 2. Year 3 was the year the accusations started. The dementia had a new, cruel flavor: paranoia. "Lisa," Mom said one afternoon, "where is my wedding ring?" "It's on your hand, Helen," Lisa said patiently. "No, not this one. My mother's ring. The sapphire. It was in my jewelry box." I don't know, Helen. I haven't seen it." "You're lying," Mom whispered, her eyes narrowing. "You took it. You're a thief." Lisa just walked out of the room. I found her in our bedroom, crying. Not loud, angry sobs. Just silent, exhausted tears. "She doesn't mean it, Lise." "I know," she whispered. "That's what makes it worse. She believes it. She thinks I'm stealing from her. The woman I feed and bathe and I can't do this, Mark." "Yes, you can. We can." "Can we?" "Because I'm starting to hate her. I am. And I'm starting to hate you for making me do this." It was like a slap. "Making you?" "Yes, making me. You and your pride. Your refusal to even consider another option. Your sister, she's awful, but she was right. We are not equipped for this." We had the biggest fight of our marriage. We screamed. We said things that you can't take back. Things about sacrifice and resentment, and whose life was harder. The kids heard everything. Josh locked himself in his room. Emily just left. She walked out the front door and didn't come back until midnight. We found the ring, by the way. 2 days later. Mom had wrapped it in a tissue and hidden it in a shoebox under her bed. She had no memory of doing it. She never apologized, because she never remembered the accusation. But Lisa remembered. And I remembered. It was a poison that settled into the foundation of our family. That Christmas, Sarah and David came to visit. Their first visit in 3 years. They didn't stay with us. "Allergic to your cats," David announced, though we didn't have cats. They stayed at the Four Seasons downtown. They came over for Christmas dinner. Sarah walked in, carrying a large ornate poinsettia. "Merry Christmas." "Oh, it's cozy in here." "It's warm, Sarah. The word is warm." David, meanwhile, was looking at the ramp I'd built over the front steps. "That's something, Mark. You build that yourself? Probably not up to code." Dinner was a masterclass in passive aggression. "Mom, you're wearing that?" Sarah said, looking at the simple and clean and pressed dress Lisa had helped her put on. "David and I were thinking," Sarah announced over dessert, "that you all look tired. Really, really tired. And this house, it smells, Mark." I gripped my fork. "Smells like what, Sarah?" "Like, sickness. Antiseptic. It's just sad." "It's a clean house," Lisa said, her voice dangerously low. Of course," David said, jumping in. "What Sarah means is, this is a lot of strain. On everyone. We were looking at your numbers, Mark." I blinked. "My numbers?" "The mom fund. You're burning through it. The supplies, the whatever. It's not sustainable. And frankly, your house is not a long-term solution." "What are you proposing, David?" I asked. "We sell. We put this house on the market, combine the equity with the mom fund, and we get her into the Willows. A good facility. You and Lisa can get a condo. A fresh start. It's a win-win." I looked at him. He wanted me to sell my house. The house my kids grew up in. "Get out," I said. "Mark." Sarah started. "No, he's right," David said, standing up, a smug look on his face. "We've overstepped. Clearly you have this all under control. You're a better man than I, Mark. Willingly setting your entire family on fire to, what? Prove a point? It's admirable. Stupid. But admirable." They left. They left the poinsettia, which died a week later. Sarah texted me on New Year's Day. "I hope you'll reconsider David's offer. It was practical. Stop being so emotional. We're worried about Mom's money." I didn't reply. Year 4. Emily was applying to colleges. Her dream school, a private liberal arts college in New England, sent her an acceptance letter. We ran the numbers. We looked at the financial aid package. We couldn't do it. Honey, I started. It's a lot of money. I can get a loan, Dad. You'd be in debt for the rest of your life. The state school. It's a great program, honey. And it's a fraction of the cost. She knew what I was really saying. The money we would have had for her, the college fund we'd started when she was born. It was gone. We drained it for modifications and supplies, and all the little things the mom fund didn't cover. It's because of Grandma, isn't it? She asked. Not angry. Just flat. No. It's because life is expensive. It's because of her, she repeated. It's okay, Dad. I get it. She walked away. She went to the state school. She was miserable. That was the year Lisa had to quit her job. Mom had a bad fall, the one we'd all been dreading. She broke her hip. After the surgery, she wasn't the same. The anesthesia, the hospital, it was like it accelerated the dementia by a factor of 10. She couldn't be left alone. Not for a minute. Lisa's part-time job was what kept us in the black. Without it, we were suddenly terrifyingly in the red. Every month. I need to hire help, I told Lisa. Just a few hours a day. So you can breathe. With what money, Mark? The mom fund. I checked the balance. We were down to $120,000. 8 years of a home would have been $576,000. I felt a sick, twisted vindication. We were saving money. And it was costing us everything. We hired a home health aide, a woman named Carla. She was a saint. She came in 3 days a week, 4 hours a day. It was $30 an hour. $360 a week. Over $18,000 a year. I looked at the mom fund. I looked at our mortgage. I took out a second mortgage on our house. I didn't tell Lisa for 3 months. She found the letter from the bank. I don't like to think about that night. It was the closest we ever came to divorce. It was the night I realized I was in so deep, the only way out was through. It's my mother, I yelled. I will not let her die in some piss-stained hallway. So you'll let our marriage die instead, she screamed back. You'll let our kids' futures die? She's not even here anymore, Mark. Look at her. She doesn't know you. She doesn't know me. We are killing ourselves for a ghost. It was true. Mom was gone. She sat in her chair. Carla or Lisa would feed her, bathe her, change her. She hadn't spoken a complete sentence in 6 months. That night, after Lisa was asleep or pretending to be, I went downstairs. I opened my laptop. And I made a spreadsheet. I titled it, The Cost. I put in everything. The $15,000 for the bathroom. The $2,200 for the ramp. The $4,800 for the chairlift we'd had to install. Carla's salary, to date, $27,000. Lost wages from Lisa's job, $40,000. The money from Emily's college fund, $35,000. Groceries. Prescriptions. Adult diapers. The interest on the second mortgage. I did it as a joke, at first. A dark, ghoulish, 3 a.m. joke. The total for 4.5 years of care came to $194,500. I looked at the mom fund balance, $82,000. We were $112,500 in the hole. And that was a conservative estimate. I attached the spreadsheet to an email. I wrote, FYI. Since you're so worried about the money. I sent it to Sarah. Her reply came at 5 a.m. She must have been up. Mark, this is the most ghoulish, disgusting, and manipulative thing you have ever done. I am horrified. You are trying to bill me for your care? You are putting a price on loving our mother? I always knew you were petty, but this is monstrous. David is right. You've lost it. Do not contact me again unless it's a medical emergency. She blocked my email address. Year 5. Year 6. Year 7. They blur. They were a smear of beige. The beige of Ensure. The beige of the hospital walls. The beige of Mom's room. Josh got caught smoking pot behind the school. When the principal called me, I didn't have the energy to be angry. I picked him up. Why, Josh? I don't know, Dad. Why not? This house, it's a prison. Emily's gone. You and Mom are just ghosts. I just wanted to feel something else. What do you say to that? He wasn't wrong. Lisa and I, we weren't a married couple. We were co-workers. We were shift managers. I changed her at 2. Doctor appointment is at 4. Can you take her? We're out of diapers. Order more. We slept in the same bed, but we never touched. The resentment was a cold, fat barrier between us. She resented me for the prison I'd built. I resented her for not understanding that I had no other choice. But the real black, ugly resentment, that was all for Sarah. It became an obsession. I got a new email. I'd check her Facebook. Sarah, David, and their 2 perfect, college-aged kids, skiing in Aspen. Another year of blessings. #family. Sarah and David on a beach in the Cayman Islands. 25 years with my rock. He's given me the world. Sarah at a charity gala, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my car. I'd sit in the dark in the living room, staring at these pictures on my phone. My mother would be 20 feet away, moaning softly in her sleep. The house would smell of antiseptic and urine. And I would just hate. It was a hate so pure and so total, it was the only thing I felt. It was a fuel. It kept me going. The thought of her, living her perfect life, having contributed to the Mom Fund and washed her hands of it all, while I was here in this hell. I updated my spreadsheet. Every single month. Lost promotion, I couldn't take on extra work, $10,000 per year. Interest on the second mortgage, $7,200 per year. Carla's salary, we had to up her hours, $31,200 per year. The Mom Fund ran out completely by the end of year 6. I sent Sarah one last email from a new account. Subject: the fund is empty. The $250,000 is gone. It's been gone for 6 months. We have been paying 100% of her care out of pocket. We are $310,000 in debt. I am just letting you know. She didn't block this one. She replied, Mark, I am forwarding this to my lawyer. This is harassment. I told you, I contributed my share. I am not responsible for your financial mismanagement. You chose to hire expensive nurses. You chose to do those insane renovations. You chose to keep her in your home. These are your choices. I will not be held liable for them. If you contact me for money again, I will get a restraining order. I printed the email. I put it in a folder with the spreadsheet. I stopped looking at her Facebook. I just went numb. Year 8. I came home one night. Lisa was asleep on the couch, which wasn't unusual. Carla was in the den, sitting by Mom's bed. The lights were dim. Hey, Carla. How was she? Carla, who had been with us for 4 years, looked up. Her eyes were red. She's gone, Mark. I blinked. Gone? What? Did she wander? No, honey, Carla said, standing up and taking my hand. She's gone. She passed. About an hour ago. It was just sleep. She just stopped breathing. I walked over to the bed. My mother. She looked small and peaceful. For the first time in years, the lines of pain and confusion were gone from her face. She just looked like Mom. I felt nothing. I didn't cry. I didn't feel sadness. I felt relief. Immediate, overwhelming, crushing relief. The machine had finally stopped. And the guilt that followed that relief was the worst feeling of my life. I woke up Lisa. I called Sarah. She picked up on the second ring. Mark? This had better be. She's gone, Sarah. Mom's dead. A sharp intake of breath. Oh my God. Was it awful? No. It was peaceful. She was asleep. Oh, thank God, she whispered. And then, I swear to God, her next words were, Did she have a will? I don't know, Sarah. I haven't even called the funeral home yet. Right. Of course. Well, I'll book a flight. We'll have to to plan things. The funeral was a farce. Sarah flew in and took over. She acted the part of the grieving daughter perfectly. She picked the most expensive casket. She ordered catering for 100 people. She stood up and gave the eulogy. It was all about her childhood. I remember Mom and we were like sisters. We'd talk for hours. I just sat in the front row, next to Lisa and the kids, and stared at the casket. Lisa held my hand. After the funeral, back at our house, which now felt cavernously empty and quiet, Sarah was all business. Okay, Mark. We need to find the will. We need to call Haddon, Dad's old lawyer. We need to get the house appraised. Appraised? Sarah, we live here. Well, of course, Mark. But the estate has to be settled. We'll have to sell, obviously. To pay, you know. For everything. I just looked at her. Pay for what? The funeral for one, she said, ticking a finger. And you know, to split the assets. What assets, Sarah? There are no assets. There is this house which I own, and which has 2 mortgages on it. And there is nothing. The mom fund is gone. Remember. Sarah gave me a look of pity. Oh, Mark. You're so dramatic. Of course there are assets. Mom had things. Savings. That house money was just the house money. Dad left her fine. I'm sure there's, you know, more. I realized in that moment that she truly had no idea. She thought we were just financially incompetent. She thought there was some secret pot of gold, and that the $250,000 was just fun money. We need to see Haddon, she said. I'll make the call. Which brought us back to the lawyer's office. Sarah was still sputtering. 8 years? She was senile. This is coercion. That's enough, I said. My voice was quiet, but it cut through her hysteria. She looked at me, shocked. I hadn't raised my voice to her in years. Mr. Haddon, Sarah said, turning to him. You were Dad's lawyer. And Mom's. You know this is wrong. You're letting him steal my inheritance. Haddon took off his glasses. He looked old. Sarah, he said, your mother was a very sharp, very proud, and very meticulous woman. When she came to me, 8 years ago, she was furious. At me. Sarah squeaked. At the world. At her situation. And yes, at you. She told me about the phone call. She told me you wanted to put her in a home, and that you couldn't take her in. We couldn't. It was complicated. So, Haddon continued, she said, my son is about to destroy his life for me. I'm not going to let that happen. I advised her, as your father did, to just let the money she had be the family money. She refused. What money? I whispered. Your mother, Mark, was not just a homemaker. Before she ever met your father, when she was a young woman in her 20s, she was a seamstress. She also happened to be a brilliant amateur engineer. She invented a specific patentable component for industrial weaving looms. A new type of shuttle. She sold the patent in 1968 for $50,000. And a 1.5% royalty on all units sold, in perpetuity. I just stared. Mom? My mom? $50,000 in 1968. She invested it. The royalties, they came in, every quarter, like clockwork. She never told your father. She never told anyone. It was her money. Her escape fund, she called it. When your father died, she was sad, but she was never ever going to be poor. That fund, Sarah, is the $1.2 million estate. It was never your father's. It was never family money. It was hers. Sarah looked like she was going to be sick. And now, Haddon said, we read her letter. He picked up the sheaf of papers. It was my mother's handwriting. My dearest children. If you are hearing this, I am gone. I hope it was peaceful. And I hope, Mark, that you were not bankrupted by my stubbornness. You both know I love you. But I have always been a great believer in justice. Life is about choices, and choices have consequences. Sarah, my daughter. You are smart and beautiful, and you have always known what you wanted. You married a wealthy man. You built a life of comfort. You told me many times that you were all set. When I needed you, when I was old and afraid, I gave you a choice. I needed one of my children. You chose your comfort. You chose your marble floors. You told me, I'm not a caregiver. You were right. You are not. You offered to help pay for a facility, as if I were a car you were leasing. A monthly bill to be paid. Mark, my son. You are your father's son. All heart, and not enough sense. You had your own family, your own debts, your own life. And when I called, you said, of course, Mom. We'll make room. You and Lisa, you gave me 8 years of your lives. You gave me your home. You gave me your patience. You gave me your children's college funds. You gave me your marriage. You did it because you thought it was your duty. You thought there was no other choice. You were both wrong. There was another choice. Me. My money. I could have paid for the Willows. I could have paid for 24-hour private nursing in my own home. I had the money. I had it all along. I let you, Mark, take me in, because I needed to know. I needed to see. And I let you, Sarah, refuse, because you needed to show me who you were. This, all of it, this was a test. Sarah, you failed. Mark, you passed. The money, this $1.2 million, it is not an inheritance. It is a payment. It is Lisa's salary for 8 years of work that would have broken a lesser woman. It is reimbursement for the second mortgage you took out. It is the college fund for Emily, and a down payment for Josh. It is for the vacations you missed, the promotions you lost, the nights you didn't sleep. I kept a ledger, Mark. I saw your little spreadsheet. It was a good start. But you missed a few things. You didn't charge for pain and suffering. I did. I calculated what you were owed. It came to $1,190,000. The $10,000 is for you, Sarah. So you can never say I left you with nothing. Buy yourself a nice dinner. I love you both. But justice is justice. Mom. Hadn't finished reading. The room was silent. Lisa was crying. Not sad tears. Just a release. A dam of 8 years breaking. I don't know what I was. Vindicated. Sick. Furious. And heartbroken. She knew. She was lucid all that time. All those years, when she was accusing Lisa of stealing, when she was wandering, when she was gone. She wasn't. She was testing? No. The dementia was real. Haddon said she wrote this first, 8 years ago. Before the worst of it. She was lucid when she made this will, Haddon said, as if reading my mind. And with every 6-month update. But the dementia, Mark, that was real. What she couldn't have known was just how bad it would get. How much it would really cost you. This will was her way of protecting you from a choice she knew you would make, and a choice she knew Sarah would make. She set the terms before the game even started. Sarah finally moved. She stood up. She didn't look at me. She looked at David. You, she whispered. You told me to refuse. You told me she was a bad investment. Now, Sarah, David started, holding up his hands. You told me my family was beneath us. You told me to wash my hands of it. You cost us, $600,000. Sarah, let's not do this here, he hissed, grabbing her arm. She ripped her arm away. Don't touch me. She looked at me. Her eyes were dead, empty of all the fire. Just hollow. I hate you, she whispered. You may have the money. But you're still the one who spent 8 years in that smell. I was free. I lived my life. And you were a glorified janitor. I hope it was worth it. She turned and walked out of the office. David, after a moment's hesitation, scurried after her. And I was alone with my wife, and a check for $1,190,000. That was 6 months ago. Sarah is divorcing David. It's ugly. She tried to contest the will. It was, as Haddon said, ironclad. My mother, the meticulous engineer, had her mental capacity assessed and notarized with every single update. She even had her doctor include notes on Sarah's visits, or lack thereof. She filed twice, and was shut down twice. She has to pay all the legal fees. I paid off the house, the first mortgage, and the second. I refilled Emily's college fund, and she's applying for her master's at that dream school in New England. She got in. I bought Josh a car. A safe, boring, reliable car. He's at the state school, and for the first time, he's happy. Lisa and I, we're traveling. We're in Italy right now. I'm writing this from a balcony overlooking a small vineyard. Lisa is asleep inside. She sleeps. She really sleeps. For the first time in a decade. The money, it's a tool. It fixed the things we broke. It's paying for our kids' futures. It's paying for therapy. For both of us. We're going to be okay. But the secret that my mother was a quiet millionaire, that's not the one that left me speechless. The secret that left me speechless was that my mother saw it all. She saw the sacrifice. She saw the selfishness. She saw the spreadsheet. And she saw, years in advance, exactly who her children were. The money doesn't bring back the 8 years. It doesn't erase the smell, or the fights, or the look on my daughter's face when I told her she couldn't go to her dream school. But it's justice. My sister gave up a fortune because she couldn't be bothered. Because her marble floors were more important. Because she wasn't a caregiver. And I was paid $1.2 million for changing diapers. It's a weird world. I'm going to go wake up my wife. I think we'll go get some wine. I'm writing this down, partly because my wife says I should, and partly because I'm still running on the adrenaline from last weekend. I need to get this out. The first time my father-in-law, Richard, called me a grease monkey, I laughed. It was at a crowded barbecue, and I thought he was making a joke. The 10th time, I was dating his daughter, Anna. The 100th time, I was married to her. The last time, well, that was last Saturday. And it was the last time because he was standing in the pitch black, freezing cold, with his entire world crashing down around him, begging me, the wrench turner, to save him. And the best part? The most delicious, satisfying part? I was the only person in the world who could. Let's rewind. My name is Mark. I'm 38. I own a shop. Not a Jiffy Lube, not a dealership service bay. I own my shop. We specialize in 2 things, high-performance European imports, and full frame-off restorations of classic cars. I have 3 mechanics working for me, a body and paint guy who is an artist, and a 2-year wait list for restoration projects. I'm good at what I do. I'm not just good at it, I'm one of the best in the state. I take a 3,000-pound piece of metal that's been sitting in a barn for 40 years, a machine with 10,000 moving parts, and I make it live again. I'm a diagnostician, an engineer, a fabricator, and a mechanic. My hands are calloused, permanently stained, and I have scars on my knuckles that will never fade. I am, in short, everything my wife's family despises. I met Anna 8 years ago. A 1967 Lancia Fulvia was towed into my shop. It was gorgeous, and a complete disaster. The timing was off, the Italian wiring was a nest of brittle color-coded lies, and it had been sitting for a decade. A woman climbed out of the tow truck, looked at the car, then at me, and said, "Everyone says it's a lost cause. They say I should just sell it for parts." "They're wrong," I said, before I'd even introduced myself. "It's not a lost cause. It's just misunderstood." She smiled. And that was it. She was a lawyer, sharp as a tack, funny, and she had this fire in her. She was also, as I would soon learn, the daughter of Richard and Catherine Sterling. Of the Sterlings. Her father, Richard, was a venture capitalist. He didn't make things, he facilitated concepts. He moved money around, and in the process, more money just stuck to him. Her mother, Catherine, sat on the boards of 3 different charities, which, as far as I can tell, is a full-time job that consists entirely of having lunches and planning galas. And then there was her brother, Alex. The golden boy. Alex, who had followed his father into the world of ideas, and looked at me, from the moment we met, like I was something he'd scraped off his bespoke, leather-soled shoe. Anna was the black sheep. She'd gone to law school, but she'd become a public defender. She wasn't facilitating concepts. She was in the trenches, fighting for people who couldn't fight for themselves. She was real. And she loved that I was real, too. Our relationship was a whirlwind. We clicked. We made sense. She loved my quiet, and I loved her fire. She didn't care about my hands. In fact, she loved them. She said they were honest. Then I had to meet the family. The first dinner was at the Sterling family estate. I'm not talking about a McMansion. I'm talking about an estate. A 15,000 square foot historic home on 80 acres, with a name. Graywood. I pulled up in my fully restored immaculate 1970 Ford Bronco, and I could feel the curtains twitch. I was wearing my best jeans, a clean shirt, and a sport coat. I looked good. Richard opened the door. He was tall, thin, and had that look of permanent, mild disappointment that only old money can perfect. He shook my hand, his eyes flicking down to my knuckles, and I swear I saw him physically recoil. "So," he said, his voice a smooth baritone. "You're the mechanic." It wasn't a question. It was a diagnosis. The dinner was a masterclass in passive-aggressive class warfare. "Mark, is it?" Catherine chimed in, smiling a smile that didn't touch her eyes. "Anna tells us you own your own business. That's so ambitious." "I do okay," I said, taking a sip of water. "We stay busy." "Oh, I'm sure," Alex said, smirking. He looked like a younger, more douchey version of his father. "Lots of, what is it? Oil changes? Tire rotations?" "Not so much," I said, keeping my voice level. "We're rebuilding a 1958 Ferrari 250 TR right now. Engine out, full concourse restoration." Alex blinked. He had no idea what that meant. "Oh. So old cars. Like a hobby." "It's a $1.5 million project," I said, just to see his face. "But yeah, it's fun." Richard stepped in, putting a hand on Alex's shoulder. "Now, Alex, be nice. It takes all kinds. Society needs its tradesmen. Someone has to do the physical work." He turned to me. "I'm sure it's very satisfying to fix things with your hands. That sort of simple, tactile reward." Simple. That was the word of the night. My work was simple. My life was simple. I was simple. Anna was trying her best. "Dad, Mark is an expert. His work is incredibly complex. It's more than just physical." "Of course, dear," Catherine said, patting Anna's hand. "No one is saying it isn't. It's just, well, it's not finance, is it? It's not law. It's dirty." I just sat there, eating a piece of salmon that probably cost more than my first car, and I made a decision. I was going to marry Anna. And I was going to endure these people. I was going to endure them, and I was going to let their words wash over me, because she was worth it. And for 6 years, I did. I endured the engagement party, where Richard gave a toast. He held his champagne flute high and said, to Anna. And to Mark. Mark has truly shown us that Anna marches to the beat of her own drum. He's a very grounded young man. Reliable. Like a good solid truck. The laughter from his friends was light, but it had an edge. I endured the wedding planning. They wanted a 400-person gala at Graywood. Anna and I wanted 50 people in a barn. We compromised, 200 people at Graywood. They paid for it, and they never, ever let us forget it. My parents, a retired plumber and a retired teacher, were treated with a kind of polite, distant curiosity. Like they were exhibits from the working-class museum. Your mother is just so sweet, Catherine told me, her voice dripping with condensation. She has such a simple way of looking at the world. I endured the gifts. Oh God, the gifts. Every Christmas, Alex would get me something funny. One year it was my first toolkit, made of cheap, brightly colored plastic. Figured you could use this for the really complex jobs, Mark, he said, to a round of laughter. Another year, it was a high-end, $200 hand-cleaning scrub. For your condition, he'd said. Richard was more helpful. He was always looking for opportunities for me. Mark, I was talking to the head of facilities at the firm, he'd say over Thanksgiving turkey. They're looking for a new building manager. It's a desk job, you know. Benefits. A pension. A 401k. A chance to, you know, wash up. Get out of that garage. It's a dead end, son. You're smart. You could be managing the people who fix things. Isn't that better? No, Richard, I'd say, every single time. I like doing the fixing. And I already manage 3 people. And my dead-end job will clear 7 figures in revenue this year. How's your new social media for pet startup investment doing? That would shut him up. For a while. The only time I almost lost it was with Alex. He just bought a new BMW M5. A beautiful machine. He brought it to my shop. Not because he trusted me, but because he wanted to show he was supporting his sister's project. He didn't make an appointment. He just rolled in on a Tuesday. Hey Mark. She's making a ticking noise. Left front. You think your guys can handle it? This isn't a 1970 Honda, you know. It's German engineering. I sighed. We'll take a look, Alex. Leave it. No, I'll wait, he said. And he did. He stood in the bay, in his $3,000 suit, drinking a latte, and supervising. He stood over my best mechanic, Miguel, as he put it on the lift. Are you sure that's safe? Alex asked. Are you sure that's the right tool? It's just a sensor, right? You're not going to break anything, are you? Miguel, to his credit, just ignored him. Finally, I walked over. Alex. Go to the waiting room. Now. I just want to make sure. You're in the way. And you're insulting my guy. Go. Or take your car and leave. He huffed, but he went. The ticking noise was a rock in the brake dust shield. A 30-second fix. I had Miguel do a full diagnostic anyway. We found his alignment was off and his coolant was low. We topped it off, did the alignment, and washed the car. I wrote up the bill. 1 hour of diagnostic labor, our minimum, and the alignment. Total, $220. Alex exploded. $200. For a rock. You're ripping me off. This is insane. He was yelling. In my waiting room. In front of other customers. I walked out from behind the counter. I'm not a big guy, but I'm solid. I work for a living. Alex has yoga-toned muscles. I'm pretty sure I could have thrown him through the wall. Alex, I said, my voice dangerously quiet. You're paying for an hour of my expert mechanic's time, the use of a $50,000 diagnostic computer, and a $100,000 alignment rack. The rock was free. You paid $220. You got $400 in value. Now you pay this bill, or I'm putting a mechanic's lien on your car. And from this moment on, you are never to bring a vehicle to my shop again. You are not my customer. You're just Anna's brother. Pay. And get out. He paid. He was white-lipped with rage. He peeled out of my parking lot. Anna was furious when she heard. Not at me. At him. It caused a huge fight. He's just jealous, Mark, she told me later. You build things. You're real. They just push paper. It threatens them. I don't care if it threatens them, I said, holding her. I just want them to leave me alone. It's going to, she said. I promise. The strain was real. I loved her. She loved me. But her family was this anchor, trying to drag us down. I could see it wearing on her, this constant need to defend me, to defend her choice. And I hated them for it. I hated them for making her feel like she had to choose. So, I settled in. I adopted the smile and nod approach. I was the family mascot. The blue-collar pet. It was what it was. Then, about a year ago, Richard found his new project. Greywood, the estate, was old. The infrastructure was failing. And in the last few years, we'd had a few bad storms that knocked out the power. Richard, being Richard, couldn't stand being inconvenienced. But more than that, he was a bit of a rich guy prepper. He loved the idea of being self-sufficient. He loved the status of it. He decided to take Greywood off the grid. He spent an obscene amount of money. We're talking a solar array that covered 2 acres. A battery bank in the basement that looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. And for backup, the generator. He didn't buy a new, quiet, efficient Generac. That wasn't Richard. No, he found something else. At a government auction, he bought a decommissioned 1968 Alco 251 V12 diesel generator. It was the size of a shipping container. It was originally designed to be the emergency backup power for an icebreaker. It was a 2-megawatt monster. It was absurd, antiquated, and powerful. And he loved it. He bragged about it endlessly. It's a real piece of engineering, Mark. Not like your little car engines. This is industrial. They built a new, dedicated wing for it. It has its own 5,000-gallon diesel tank. He'd hired the best, i.e. most expensive commercial electrical firm in the state to install it all. The solar, the batteries, the generator, and most importantly, the automatic transfer switch, ATS. The ATS is the brain. It's what tells the house to switch from grid to solar to battery to generator, all seamlessly. I was at the house for Sunday dinner, and he was showing off the plans. He unrolled the actual blueprints on the dining room table. Look at this, Mark. You'll appreciate the mechanics of it. I looked. And I'm not a commercial electrician, but I am a diagnostician. I know how systems talk to each other. And I saw a problem. Richard, I said, pointing. This ATS. It's a new, solid-state, digital unit. Right. Top of the line, he boomed. And the generator. It's a 1968 Alco. It runs on analog relay logic. It doesn't have a digital controller. It has levers. So, they're not speaking the same language. This ATS is designed to talk to a modern, digital generator. This is like trying to plug an iPhone into a rotary phone. How are they talking? Richard's face tightened. They have engineers, Mark. They built a custom interface module. I looked at the diagram for the module. It was a mess. A Rube Goldberg machine of electronics. This is a lot of failure points, Richard. This module, it's trying to translate the generator's manual feedback into a digital signal. But the ATS is going to be sending a digital request, and it just looks brittle. If you get a hard load surge, the ATS is going to try and shut it down, but the generator's relay logic won't react fast enough. The feedback loop could fry this entire switch. Richard rolled up the blueprints. His face was cold. Mark, thank you for your opinion. But I think the PhDs in electrical engineering who designed this system probably know a little bit more than a car mechanic. I held up my hands. You're right. It's not my area. Just looks complicated. It is complicated, Alex said, walking in. It's real engineering, Mark. Not just banging on things with a wrench. You're right, Alex. My mistake. I dropped it. It wasn't my house. Not my problem. That was 6 months ago. Which brings us to last weekend. Last Saturday. The event? Oh, just Alex's wedding. Yes. The golden boy was getting married. To a woman named Madison, who was basically a younger, blonder version of his mother. It was the event of the season. They'd been planning it for a year. 400 guests. A 10-piece orchestra. Caterers flown in from New York. It was all happening at Graywood. And the weather? The weather was biblical. A once-in-a-generation ice storm was bearing down on us. The forecast went from a little snow to catastrophic ice accumulation in the span of 12 hours. But the wedding was on. The guests were already at the hotel. The bride was in the house. Richard was not going to let a little inclement weather ruin his son's day. Anna and I drove up on Friday night. The freezing rain had already started. The drive was treacherous. The estate was beautiful, though. Every tree was coated in a perfect, glittering layer of ice. It looked like a crystal palace. Saturday morning, the day of the wedding, the world was silent. And heavy. The ice was half an inch thick on everything. We woke up to the sound of cracking. Not gunfire. Trees. Huge, ancient oak trees, splitting and crashing to the ground. The power was on. The house was warm. The caterers were buzzing. See, Richard said at breakfast, smug. The grid is unstable. But we are not. We are an island of calm. The solar is, well, covered in ice. But the batteries are full. And if they fail, we have the beast. He was giddy. The wedding was at 5 p.m. By 3 p.m., the house was packed. Guests had been shuttled in. Everyone was in tuxedos and gowns. The music was playing. Champagne was flowing. At 4:15 p.m., the lights flickered and went out. A collective gasp. Then, a hum. The lights came back on, brighter than before. A smattering of applause. Richard was standing by the grand staircase, glass in hand. Not to worry, everyone. Not to worry. Greywood is self-sufficient. The grid has failed us, but we have foresight. He was beaming. The battery backup was working. Everything was fine. At 4:30 p.m., the batteries died. The orchestra's music died first. The lights went out. The entire house, all 15,000 square feet of it, was plunged into absolute total darkness. For a second, there was silence. Just the sound of the wind and the crack of another tree branch. Then, the screaming. No, not screaming. Shouting. Panic. Madison, the bride, in her $30,000 dress, shrieked. "My wedding. It's ruined." Calm. Richard's voice boomed, but it was shaking. Everyone stay calm. The generator. The generator will kick on. We waited. A minute. 2 minutes. Nothing. Just darkness. And very, very quickly, cold. The house was all glass and old stone. The heating system was off. The temperature was dropping. Fast. Dad. Alex's voice, high-pitched. Dad, do something. The generator. It should be automatic. Richard was yelling back. The ATS, it's supposed to be. I was standing near the back of the great hall with Anna. She had her phone's flashlight on. She looked at me. I wasn't smiling. But I wasn't panicking, either. "Mark," she said. "I know," I said. We started to hear a new sound. A bad sound. Drip, drip, drip. "Oh my God," a woman's voice. The flowers. The caterer had set up a massive tropical flower display. The heating was off. The flowers were instantly wilting in the freezing air. But it was worse than that. Richard. It was Catherine, his wife. The pipes. My God, the pipes. The old house. The old, fragile pipes. If they froze, they would burst. It wouldn't just be a ruined party. It would be a ruined house. Millions in damages. This was a disaster. The engineers. Richard was screaming into his phone. The installers. I can't get a signal. The cell tower must be down. He was running. Literally, running, through the dark house, bumping into his tuxedo-clad guests. I heard him crash into a serving tray. Glasses shattered. Alex was trying to calm his bride. "It's fine, baby, it's fine. Dad will fix it. It's all fine." It was not fine. I just stood there. Anna squeezed my hand. "What's going to happen?" "He was right about one thing," I said, my voice quiet. "That generator is a 1968 Alco V12. Its automatic start is a set of 12-volt relays that were probably built by hand in a factory that doesn't exist anymore. The engineers tied a brand new digital switch to it. They tried to teach a dinosaur to use a smartphone. And when the moment came, the dinosaur ate the phone. Can you?" I didn't answer. I just watched. Richard came back into the hall, his flashlight beam, a tiny weak penlight, bouncing off the walls. He looked frantic. His hair was messed up. His bow tie was crooked. "It's the generator room. It's dead. There's a smell, like burnt plastic." He was hyperventilating. His son's wedding. His wife. His house. His legacy. All of it, circling the drain. He scanned the room. His light passed over me. He stopped. The beam came back, right into my eyes. He didn't walk. He stumbled over to me. Guests were turning on their own phone flashlights. It was a weird, chaotic, digital candlelight vigil. "Mark." His voice was a croak. I didn't say anything. I just sipped my now-cold champagne. "Mark. The generator. You know about these things. Engines. You know, engines." I looked at him. I thought it was real engineering, Richard. Not my area. I'm just a mechanic. I just bang on things with a wrench, remember? The silence in the room was absolute. Even the bride stopped crying. Everyone was listening. Please, he said. His voice was a whisper. Mark. Please. The house. The pipes will burst. My God, the wedding. Alex came storming over. Dad, what is he? Mark. Stop being an asshole and fix it. You know how to fix it. I turned my head, very slowly, to look at Alex. Do I, Alex? Do I know how? You're the one who told me this was German engineering. This is industrial. This isn't a Honda. I don't know if I can handle it. You bastard. Alex hissed, and he actually grabbed the front of my jacket. I didn't even flinch. I just looked down at his hand, then back at his face. Let go, Alex. Or I'll walk out that door. And I'll take your sister with me. And you can all sit here in the dark and freeze. He let go. Like my jacket was on fire. I turned back to Richard. He looked broken. All the arrogance, the smugness, it was gone. He was just a terrified old man in a $5,000 tuxedo. Mark, he said, and his voice cracked. What do you want? I'll pay you. Anything. Name your price. $100,000. Just make the lights come on. I laughed. A short, sharp bark. You think this is about money, Richard? You think I'm one of your employees? One of the tradesmen you can just hire? I set my glass down on a nearby table. I looked at him. I looked at Alex. I looked at Catherine, who was clutching her pearls. I'm not doing it for you, Richard. I'm not doing it for you, Alex. And I'm definitely not doing it for the money. I looked over at Anna. She was pale, but her eyes were fierce. I'm doing it because your daughter is cold. And because 400 people are about to get hypothermia. And because this is, apparently, a wedding. I stood up straight. But we're going to get a few things straight. Right here. Right now. I pointed a finger at Richard. From this moment on, you never speak about my job again. You never call me a grease monkey. You never call me a wrench turner. You never again, ever, imply that my work is simple or dirty. You will call me by my name. And you will show me and my shop and my family and my hands. I held them up, the calloused, stained hands he hated so much. The same respect you show your golf buddies. The same respect you show him. I nodded at Alex. I turned to Alex. And you. You're an ass. You're a spoiled, smug, useless ass. You will apologize to my mechanic, Miguel. And you will apologize to me. And you will never ever question my work or my business again. You don't get to. The air was so thick, I could barely breathe. Richard just stared at me. His mouth opened, then closed. He was a man who moved millions with a phone call. He was not used to being talked to like this. Especially not by me. Do we, I said, my voice like steel, have an understanding? Richard Sterling, the titan of industry, the man who facilitated concepts, just nodded. A tiny, jerky movement. Yes. Yes. An understanding. Just, please. Please. I nodded once. Okay. I turned to Anna. Where's my truck? I parked it in the maintenance bay, by the kitchens. Like you asked. I nodded. Of course she had. She knew I'd want it close. Grab my flashlight from the glove box. The big mag light. And the bag behind the seat. My coveralls are in it. She just said, okay, and she was gone. I turned back to Richard. Where's the generator room? Basement. East wing. I'll show you. No. You stay here. You're useless. Get me your head of facilities. The guy who actually knows where the breakers are. A man in a cheap, ill-fitting suit scurried over. That's me, sir. I'm Bob. Bob, I said. You and me. Let's go. Anna came back with my bag and my light. I didn't care about the tuxedo. I shucked the jacket, pulled my coveralls on over my shirt and pants, and grabbed my toolbox from the bag. Not my first toolkit. My real box. The one with the tools that cost more than Alex's suit. Bob, I said, as we headed for the door. Is there a manual override for the fuel line to the 251? I think so, sir, he said. Good. We're going to need it. The generator room was in a sub-basement, built of solid concrete. The second I opened the door, the smell hit me. Ozone. The smell of fried electronics. Bob. Hit the lights. They're not on, sir. I shined my mag light. The beam cut through the dark. And I saw it. The ATS. The top-of-the-line digital transfer switch. It was melted. Oh damn, I said. What? What is it? Bob asked, peering over my shoulder. It's what I said would happen. I pointed the light at the main panel. The grid failed. The batteries took the load. When the batteries died, the ATS called for the generator. The generator, being a 68, probably had a 10-second relay delay. The ATS, being new, read that delay as a fault. It probably tried to protect the system by cutting the connection, but the generator's logic had kicked in, and it was already trying to send 2 megawatts of power. They met in the middle. Right here. The main bus bar was blackened. The control module was a slag heap of melted plastic and silicon. So, it's broken? Bob whispered. It's gone, Bob. This isn't a fix. This is a bypass. We're going to have to do this, the old way. For the next hour, I worked. This wasn't car mechanic work. This was... I don't even know what you'd call it. This was get-it-done work. The ATS was the brain. I had to become the brain. Bob. I need high-voltage gloves. Where are they? He found them. They were new. In the package. The engineers had never even put them on. Okay. I'm going into the switchgear. Do not touch anything. The ATS was dead, but it was also a blockage. The power from the generator couldn't get to the house through this melted hunk of junk. I had to go around it. I opened my toolbox. I pulled out my breaker bar. I found the main disconnects from the generator. I physically had to unbolt the massive 4-inch thick copper bus bars from the fried switch. They were heavy. I was sweating, even though it was freezing. Then, I had to find the house side bus bars. They were on the other side. Bob. I am going to manually connect the generator to the house. There will be no safeties. No breakers. No. Anything. Just raw power. You understand. Is it safe? No. It is not safe. It's the least safe thing I've ever done. But it's this, or the pipes burst. Now, where is the manual start on the generator? He pointed to a metal box on the wall next to the Alco engine. It was analog. A big, red button, and a key. Okay. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to reroute the bus bars. It's going to be loud. Then I'm going to tell you to start it. You're going to turn that key. You're going to hit that button. And you're going to hold it until the engine turns over. It's a diesel. It'll take a minute. It's going to be loud. Okay. I can do that. Good man, Bob. I worked. I had to fabricate a new connection. I found some spare copper bar in a cabinet. I had to cut it with a hacksaw. I was covered in grease, sweat, and copper filings. My hands were aching. Finally. I had it. A raw, ugly, terrifying bridge from the generator terminals to the house's main panel, completely bypassing the $200,000 ATS. Okay, Bob. I'm clear. I was breathing hard. Light it up. Bob put the key in. He turned it. A humming noise. He pressed the red button. Click. Nothing. Again. I yelled. Click. Damn it. The relays. The starter relays are cold. Hold on. I went over to the engine. It was a locomotive engine. It was beautiful. I found the starter motor. It was the size of a keg. I took my hammer out of my toolbox. Okay, Bob. Hit it. He hit the button. Click. I hit the starter solenoid with the hammer. Wham. Click chunk. Again. He hit it. Click. Wham. Click chunk rrrrrrr. The starter engaged. The massive V12 engine started to turn. It was slow. Chug, chug, chug. Hold it, Bob. Hold it. Give it the fuel. He was holding the button. The smell of diesel filled the room. Chug, chug, and then ignition. It wasn't a roar. It was an explosion. The Alco 251 V12 fired. The entire concrete room shook. The noise wasn't just sound, it was a physical force. It hit me in the chest. Bob was thrown back against the wall, his hands over his ears. The engine settled into a low, thrumming, earth-shaking idle. Thom, 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 thom. I looked at the voltage meter. It was analog. The needle was steady. We had power. Okay. I yelled over the din, now the hard part. I went to the manual switch I'd just built. I put on the gloves. I looked at Bob. If I go down, run. He just nodded, his eyes wide. I grabbed the breaker bar. I had to physically move the bus bar into contact. I was the automatic transfer switch. I jammed it into place. There was a crack that sounded like lightning. A massive blue-white arc of electricity jumped from the bar to the contact, blinding me for a second. The engine groaned as the 15,000-square-foot house was suddenly, instantly, put on its back. The lights in the generator room flickered, and then shone. Bright, steady, and beautiful. The thom of the generator evened out as it took the load. I stood there, my ears ringing, my hands shaking, covered in soot and grease. Holy crap, Bob said. I just nodded. I took off the gloves. It's running. It will not stop running until it runs out of fuel or someone manually shuts it down. There are no safeties. If there's a short, it'll just burn. You understand? Tell Richard. He needs to get his engineers here. Tomorrow. Or yesterday. Yes, sir. Let's go. We walked out of the generator room and locked the door. The thom was a dull vibration in the floor. We got to the main hallway. It was bright. The chandeliers were on. The orchestra had started playing again, a little shaky, but they were playing. The heat was on. I could hear the radiators clanging as the hot water hit them. A cheer went up. A massive cheer. I walked back into the main hall. The orchestra was playing. The caterers were running. The guests were partying. Richard was in the middle of it all, his hands up. You see. I told you. Foresight. People were clapping him on the back. Alex had his bride-to-be in his arms, kissing her. They hadn't even noticed I was back. I was a mess. My coveralls were black. I had a cut on my forehead from when the bus bar arced. My hands were filthy. I probably smelled like diesel and ozone. I walked past Richard. I walked past Alex. I walked straight to the bar. The bartender, who had been hiding, was now frantically pouring drinks. Sir, he said, his eyes wide at the sight of me. Scotch, I said. My voice was a rasp. Your oldest. A double. He poured it. I took the glass. I turned around. I leaned against the bar. And I just watched. I watched Richard, the hero, accepting congratulations for his generator. I watched Alex, the groom, twirling his bride. And then, they saw me. The music was loud, but a little pocket of silence formed around me. Alex saw me first. He stopped dancing. His face was... I can't describe it. It was a mix of awe and shame and fear. He let go of Madison. He walked over to me. He didn't say anything. He just took the scotch glass out of my hand, went behind the bar, got the bottle, it was a 25-year Macallan, and put it on the bar in front of me, along with a clean glass. Mark, he said. I'm an ass. I'm sorry. For all of it. I just nodded. I poured my own drink. Then Richard came over. The party was still going, but he knew. He knew. He stood in front of me. He looked at the cut on my head. He looked at my black hands. Mark. I just looked at him. I took a long, slow sip of the scotch. It burned. It was good. I was wrong, he said. He couldn't look me in the eye. About you. He still couldn't say it. "Richard," I said, and my voice cut through the party noise. "Go be with your guests. Your son is getting married." He looked relieved. He nodded. "Thank you, Mark." He started to walk away. "Oh. And Richard." He turned. "Those engineers? The PhDs? You need to fire them. And then you need to sue them. They almost burned your house to the ground." He just nodded, pale, and walked away. The rest of the night was a blur. The wedding happened. They had to skip some of the food, but it happened. I didn't move from the bar. I just stood and watched. After the I-dos, after the chaos, Anna came to find me. She had changed out of her bridesmaid dress and into a simple black sweater and jeans. She had 2 plates of food. She didn't say anything. She just handed me a plate. She looked at the cut on my forehead. She took a napkin, dipped it in a glass of water, and gently wiped the soot off my face. She was smiling. Not a big smile. A quiet, proud, tired smile. "My hero," she whispered. And this time, it wasn't a joke. I kissed her. Right there in the middle of the party. I kissed her, and I didn't care that I tasted like diesel. We left that night. We drove home in the ice, in my Bronco. The aftermath? Well, things aren't perfect. Richard is still a snob. Catherine still thinks my mom is simple. But it's different. I get calls from Richard now. "Mark, my check engine light is on." What does P0420 mean? "It means your catalytic converter is failing, Richard." Is that bad? It is for your wallet. Bring it by. I'll have Miguel look at it. Alex. Alex is the weirdest. He brought his new Audi to the shop. He made an appointment. He waited in the waiting room for 3 hours while we did his 30,000-mile service. He read a 2-year-old copy of Road and Track. He paid the bill in full and left a 20% tip for the guys. He even sent a handwritten apology card to Miguel. We were at Greywood for dinner last Sunday. Just a family dinner. Richard was carving a roast. He looked at me, at the head of the table. "Mark," he said. "Scotch." "Please," I said. He poured my glass. Then he poured his own. He raised it. He didn't say to the man who saved my house. He didn't say "I'm sorry." He just said "to family." "To family," I said, and I drank. I guess that's the last laugh. It wasn't a big loud in-your-face moment. I didn't get $100,000. I didn't get a parade. I got respect. I got to see a man who measured the world in dollars and prestige, realize that his entire world, his house, his son's wedding, his legacy, depended on the calloused, stained hands of a simple mechanic. And that's better than any paycheck. That's a feeling I could get used to. Title: My coworkers laughed when I took a janitor job after being laid off, until the CEO recognized me and made an offer they couldn't believe. Posted by u/dataghost_mark. The first time my old coworker saw me in the gray janitor's uniform, I was scrubbing a coffee stain off the floor of the 15th floor break room. Our old break room. Kevin, was standing there in his $800 suit, holding his laptop, looking at me like I was a piece of gum he'd just scraped off his heel. "Well, damn, Mark," he said, with that wide fake shark smile he always used in meetings. "Talk about downward mobility. Are you good?" I just looked up from the floor, my knees aching and my hands smelling of industrial cleaner. I was too tired, too humiliated, and too goddamn furious to even form a word. I just nodded. He laughed. Not a chuckle, but a full braying laugh. "Jesus. Well, hey, don't miss that spot over there, bud. We're trying to close a big deal, can't have the client seeing this." He motioned to me, the stain, and my entire existence, all at once. He walked away, and I heard him laughing again as he rounded the corner. That was my low point. That was 3 weeks ago. Yesterday morning, I rode down the main elevator with Kevin again. But this time, I was in my best suit, and I was standing next to Mr. Harrison, the CEO of QuantumScape. And the look on Kevin's face when Harrison put a hand on my shoulder and called me his new secret weapon. Well, that's the part of the story I'm guessing you're all here for. But to get that payoff, You have to understand how I ended up on my knees with a scrub brush in the first place. It all started 4 months ago. I was a senior data architect at Innovatech Solutions, a mid-level, shark-infested tech company that took up 3 floors of the prestigious Midtown Tower. I was good at my job. I'm not a rock star, I'm not a code ninja, I'm just a guy who's good at making complex data make sense. I built the systems that the flashy sales guys, like Kevin, used to look like rock stars. I was 45, had a wife, Anna, 2 kids, a mortgage that was just a little too big, and a 401k that was a little too small. I was the definition of middle management, middle class, middle everything. I had been at Innovatech for 12 years. I'd survived 3 restructurings before. I always figured my skills were too essential, my institutional knowledge too deep. I built the entire BI dashboard they were running the company on. I was the institution. Turns out, that's exactly what made me a target. The new VP, a guy named Brent, was all about disruption and lean synergy, which is corporate speak for firing everyone who makes more than a rookie and knows enough to call me on my BS. I was in the middle of a project, a massive optimization of our logistics database. It was a bear, but I was cracking it. Kevin, who was now a project lead, was technically my liaison to the sales team. This meant he came to my desk once a day, asked "Are we there yet?" and then took credit for my progress in his meetings with Brent. One Tuesday, I finally had the breakthrough. I found a massive redundancy in our query process, rewrote a single script, and cut the data pull time from 45 minutes to 30 seconds. It was elegant, clean work. I was proud of it. I sent my progress report to Kevin and my direct boss, who was already checking out mentally. Kevin sent back a one-word email, "Great." The next day, Wednesday, Brent called an all-hands for the entire department. He was up at the front, grinning, with Kevin by his side. Brent went on about driving innovation, and then gave the floor to Kevin, who proceeded to present my breakthrough as his own. He used my graphs. He repeated, verbatim, phrases from my email. He called it the K-Max optimization, and people actually clapped. I just sat in the back, my blood turning to ice. I was going to say something. I really was. I was going to wait until after the meeting, pull my boss aside, and show him the email chains. I never got the chance. Thursday morning, I had a 9 a.m. meeting pop up on my calendar. It was just me and an HR rep I'd never seen before. The title was Organizational Update. That, friends, is the corporate equivalent of the black spot. I knew it the second I saw it. I sat in my car in the parking garage for 10 minutes, just breathing. I called Anna. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "I think today might be the day." She went quiet. "Okay," she finally said. "It's okay, Mark. We're okay. Just call me after." The HR rep, who couldn't have been more than 23, read from a script. "Mark, as you know, Innovatech is constantly evolving, a strategic realignment. Your role, eliminated, effective immediately." It was the most surreal 15 minutes of my life. She explained my COBRA benefits while I was mentally calculating how many mortgage payments we had left in savings. She told me my building access would be revoked at 10 a.m. A security guard was already at my desk to assist me in gathering my personal effects. Assist meant, make sure I didn't steal a stapler. I walked back to my desk. The whole department was in a meeting, the one I wasn't invited to. My team, the people I'd hired and mentored, were all gone. I saw their empty desks. It wasn't just me, my entire team of expensive veterans was gone. Kevin's team, full of 25-year-old hotshots who were great at PowerPoint but couldn't write a SQL query to save their lives, was still there. The guard, a big guy named Frank, looked apologetic. "Sorry, man. Take your time." I put my coffee mug, a picture of my kids, and my favorite mechanical keyboard into a cardboard box. As I was walking to the elevator, box in hand, the meeting let out. Kevin and Sarah, the office's lead gossip, walked out. They saw me. The box. The security guard. I'll never forget the look on Kevin's face. It wasn't pity. It was triumph. He'd won. He'd cut the legs out from under me and won. He just nodded slowly, with that same shark smile. Sarah, to her credit, at least had the decency to look away. I rode the elevator down, walked through the lobby I'd entered 3,000 times, and stepped out onto the street. It was 9:52 a.m. I was unemployed. The next 2 months were a blur of beige-colored panic. I did all the things you're supposed to do. I updated my LinkedIn. I activated my network. I reached out to old colleagues. I discovered very quickly that the job market for a 45-year-old data architect was, to put it mildly, crap. I was in a terrible middle ground. Too expensive for startups, who wanted to pay kids in stock options. Not executive enough for C-level roles, which all went to guys with MBAs from schools I couldn't pronounce. I was a doer, and nobody, it seemed, wanted to pay for doers anymore. They wanted managers of doers. I sent out 120 applications. I got 6 initial screening phone calls, 3 first-round interviews, 1 second round, where I was ghosted afterward. The savings account was a leaky faucet. First a drip, then a trickle, then a steady gushing stream. Anna, bless her, went from part-time at the school library to full-time, but it wasn't enough. We were 3 weeks from missing our first mortgage payment. We had the conversation, the real conversation, over cheap pasta. I have to get a job, Anna, I said. Any job. I'll drive for Uber. I'll deliver pizzas. Mark, no, she said, her eyes welling up. Something will come through. You're brilliant. Brilliant doesn't pay the mortgage, I said, harsher than I meant to. I saw her flinch, and I hated myself for it. I'm sorry. I'm a man, you know? I'm supposed to provide. And I'm failing. You are not failing, she said, taking my hand. You're surviving. We are. But, okay. A job. What kind? The next day, I was scrolling through Indeed, past the senior data god jobs I was no longer qualified for and the junior analyst jobs that paid $18 an hour. And then I saw it. Building Services Technician, Night Shift. Midtown Tower. Midtown Tower. My building. The pay was $22 an hour. No benefits. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I stared at it for a long time. The irony was so thick I could choke on it. To go back, a ghost, to the place that had discarded me. But then I did the math. $22 an hour, 40 hours a week. It was just enough. It was exactly enough to cover the mortgage and the electric bill. It was a lifeline. A disgusting, humiliating, barbed wire lifeline. I applied. I used my old resume, but I deleted all the job titles and just left the company names. I figured they'd see Innovatech and Midtown Tower, and know I was at least familiar with the building. I got a call an hour later. The supervisor, a guy named Sal, had a gravelly voice. You worked at Innovatech? On 15. Yeah. For 12 years, I said. You an executive, he grunted. No. Back office. Data. Good. Executives are lazy. They don't know how to work. You know how to work, Mark. I think so. Yes. We'll see. You're clean, right? You can pass a background check. Yes, sir. Good. The uniform place is on 3rd. Get your boots and your shirts. Be at the service entrance tomorrow at 10:45 p.m. Don't be late. We get paid to be invisible, and we start by being on time. He hung up. I sat there. I'd just taken a janitor job. In my old building. I told Anna I'd gotten a night shift operations job at Midtown Tower. I wasn't technically lying. She was so relieved she cried. I didn't have the heart to tell her I'd be cleaning toilets. My first night was a special kind of hell. The uniform was stiff, polyester, and smelled like a warehouse. The steel-toed boots were 2 pounds each. Sal, who was a compact, powerful man of about 60, met me at the service dock. He looked me up and down. You're soft, he said. It wasn't an insult, just a fact. Your hands are soft. Your back is weak. This job is going to break you or harden you. Let's see which. He introduced me to the rest of the crew. They were from all over the world. A guy from El Salvador who used to be a lawyer. A woman from Ukraine who had a degree in chemical engineering. A young kid from the Bronx who was taking classes during the day. We were a team of invisible, overqualified ghosts. And now, I was one of them. Sal handed me my route. Floors 12 through 16. My stomach dropped. Sal. 15. That's Innovatech. Sal looked at me. Yeah. So? You got a problem with 15. It's my old company. The one that laid me off. Sal nodded, a slow, long-suffering nod. Ah. One of those. All right, kid, here's rule number 1. We don't exist. You see someone you know? No, you don't. You're a shadow. You're a part of the building. You're the guy who empties the trash and cleans up the puke. You are not Mark, the data guy. You're Mark, the cleaner. You got it. Got it. Good. Now get your cart. You're already behind. That first night, my hands bled. I had never in my life done this kind of physical labor. I was buffing the lobby floor at 3 a.m., my back screaming, my hands raw, and I was just empty. All the pride I'd had, all the knowledge worker arrogance, it was all sanded away, leaving this raw, aching core of a person. I learned the building's secrets. I learned that the law firm on 12 was full of miserable people. They yelled, they threw things, and they left half-eaten gourmet meals on their desks that rotted. I learned the ad agency on 18 was full of children. They had beanbag chairs, a ping-pong table, and they left lines of, well, let's just say powder on the bathroom counters. And I learned about the 15th floor. Innovatech. I saved it for last. I'd get there around 5 a.m. Most everyone was gone. I'd push my cart through the quiet, darkened office, the glow of the server lights blinking at me like old friends. I'd empty the trash cans. Sarah's, full of diet soda cans. Kevin's, full of crumpled-up printouts of spreadsheets I had designed. Brent's, the VP, which was always, strangely, completely empty. The humiliation was a physical taste in my mouth, like old pennies. I was cleaning up the scraps of the life I used to have. And then, about a week into the job, it happened. The laugh scene. They were working late. A big deadline. The K-Max optimization was probably hitting a snag. I came around the corner with my big yellow mop bucket, and the whole team, Kevin, Sarah, and 2 juniors, were huddled in the break room. That's when Kevin saw me scrubbing the floor. Well, damn, Mark. After he walked away, laughing, and Sarah gave me that look of pitying disgust, I finished the stain. I did it until the tile was spotless. I dumped my bucket, pushed my cart to the service elevator, and rode it down to the basement. I hid in a supply closet for 20 minutes. I didn't cry. I just vibrated. I was so full of rage and shame I thought I was going to explode. I wanted to quit. I wanted to go up there and punch Kevin in his perfectly capped teeth. I wanted to scream at Sarah. But then I thought about the mortgage. I thought about Anna's face, her relief that I had a job. So, I finished my shift. I went home at 7:30 a.m., smelling like bleach and defeat. Anna was getting the kids ready for school. She kissed me. How was work, honey? It was fine, I said. Just tired. I was a ghost. I was invisible. And I decided right then that if I was a ghost, I was going to be the best damn ghost in the building. I started to change my routine. I got efficient. I learned the building's rhythms. I learned who was a slob and who was neat. And I started paying attention to the other floors. Especially the top floors. 20, 21, and 22. QuantumScape. QuantumScape was the building's prize tenant. They were a high-frequency trading firm, or a data mining company, or a private hedge fund. No one was really sure. They were incredibly secretive. Their floors had extra security, and their janitorial contract was separate and very strict. Sal himself handled their main offices. But their part of the contract was up for renewal, and Sal's company was bidding on it. As a show of good faith, they were lending Sal's best people to their current janitorial staff, who were terrible. Sal, in a moment of, I don't know, trust? Pity? Put me on the list. Don't screw this up, Mark, he'd said. These people are paying 3x the square foot rate as Innovatech. They're not messy. They're intense. Don't touch anything on their desks. Don't look at their screens. Just get the trash, do the vacuum, and get out. Especially Mr. Harrison's office. Mr. Harrison? The CEO. The big boss. He's a legend. Works all hours. Thinks he's a god. Just stay out of his way. He's on 22. The penthouse office. So for the past 2 weeks, I'd had a new routine. 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. on my old floors. 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. at QuantumScape. And Sal was right. It was a different world. Innovatech was all bright colors, open-plan offices, and that fake we're a family vibe. QuantumScape was like walking into a cathedral of thought. Dark wood, glass, chrome. Silence. Everyone had a private office. The only sound was the clicking of keyboards and the low hum of power. The people there, even at 3 a.m., were dressed in crisp shirts. They had a look, a focused, almost burning intensity. They didn't have beanbag chairs. They had whiteboards. Whiteboards everywhere, covered in equations and diagrams that made my old data architect heart sing. They weren't disrupting. They were building. I was invisible to them, of course. But I was watching. I was emptying a trash can in an office, and I'd see a piece of code on a monitor, and I'd know what it was. I saw a database schema on a whiteboard, and I understood it. It was like being a starving man locked outside a banquet. My favorite stop, and the most terrifying, was the 22nd floor corner office. Mr. Harrison's. It was a command center. One wall was a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the city. The other 3 were whiteboards. His desk was a single massive slab of dark wood with 3 monitors. He was, as Sal warned, often in it. The first time I saw him, he was on the phone at 4 a.m., in a perfect suit, just radiating authority. He was an older guy, maybe late 60s, with a full head of white hair and the most piercing blue eyes I'd ever seen. He didn't even look at me as I slid in, emptied his bin, and slid out. I started to respect the place. I made sure their glass was spotless. I organized the cleaning supplies like it was a database. I was, in my own way, trying to belong. Which brings us to 2 nights ago. It was a Tuesday. 3:15 a.m. The building was dead. I was on my QuantumScape route. I got to Harrison's office. The door was cracked. I could hear a low, angry muttering. I tapped gently. Building services. In, a voice barked. I pushed my cart in. Mr. Harrison was there, but he wasn't in a suit. He was in a rumpled shirt, sleeves rolled up, no tie. His hair was a mess. He looked human. He was staring laser-focused at his center monitor, which was covered in lines of code. This cannot be right, he was muttering to himself. The model is garbage. The latency is killing the projection. It's bottlenecking the whole damn system. 3 years. 6 PhDs. And we're stuck. We're stuck. I went about my business. Quietly. Emptied the shredder. Emptied the small bin by his desk. I was wiping down the glass on his door when I glanced at the screen. And I stopped. I knew that code. It wasn't just code I'd seen before. It was code I'd written. It was VisCore. My old open source project. The passion project I'd built in my garage 13 years ago, back when I was young and still believed in changing the world with data. It was a simple, lightweight data visualization library. I'd built it because I was annoyed at how clunky all the other tools were. I'd put it up on GitHub, under my old handle, _night. It got a little traction in a few niche academic circles, but I hadn't thought about it in a decade. And here it was, on the screen of a billionaire CEO at 3 a.m. And he was using it wrong. My God, he was trying to push a live multi-terabyte data stream directly through it. VisCore was never built for that. It was a visualization tool, not an ETL pipeline. It was fast, but it was dumb. It was a racing bike, and he was trying to use it to haul freight. "You're going to burn it out," I said. The silence in the room was absolute. Harrison's head snapped around. He looked at me, his eyes narrowing. "What did you say?" My blood ran cold. I'd just broken Sal's #1 rule. I'd spoken. I, the ghost, had spoken. "Sir, I'm sorry. I started to back out of the room. "No," he said, standing up. "What did you just say?" My heart was hammering. My career as a janitor was over. Hell, maybe he'd have me arrested. I said, "You're going to burn it out," I stammered, pointing with my gloved hand. The library. VizCore. You're pushing a live render on a non-index dataset. The library wasn't designed for that. It's choking on the I/O. It's not a bug. It's just the wrong way to use it. Harrison stared at me. He wasn't mad. He looked stunned. How do you know that? He said, his voice quiet. How do you know that? It's VizCore 1.2, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I wrote it. Harrison blinked. You what? I wrote it. A long time ago. My name's Mark Johnson. My GitHub handle, it was m_night. That's my code. Harrison walked slowly from his desk until he was standing right in front of me. He was a good 6 inches taller than me, and he just studied me. He looked at the building services patch on my shirt, at my soft hands, now calloused, at my tired eyes. M_night, he said, tasting the name. My God. M. Night. He turned, walked back to his desk, and typed furiously. He pulled up a GitHub page. An old, archived, dusty page. And there it was. VizCore, by M_night. He turned back to me. We've been looking for you. 4-5 years. Sir. We built our entire initial platform on this. This simple library. It was the fastest thing on the market. It was beautiful. We tried to hire M_night. We sent messages to the GitHub account. We posted on forums. We offered a $50,000 bounty just to talk to you. But you were gone. A ghost. I got a job, I said, lamely. At Innovatech. I had kids. I stopped tinkering. Innovatech, Harrison said, the name like ash in his mouth. The clowns on 15. The ones who just laid off their entire senior data team. That was me, I said. Harrison just stared. And then he did something I didn't expect. He laughed. It was a deep, genuine, and slightly terrifying laugh. This, he said, motioning between me and the screen. This is the most absurd, beautiful, and furious thing I have ever seen. He pointed to a chair, one of the plush leather ones for guests. Sit. No, not a request. Sit. I sat. I was still in my janitor's uniform. Now, he said, grabbing a marker and moving to the whiteboard. Tell me, if you're not supposed to push a live stream, how are you supposed to use it? And so, at 3:30 a.m., in my janitor's uniform, I stood up and walked to the whiteboard. Here, I said, my voice shaking but not from fear. From excitement. You're thinking of it all wrong. Your PhDs are trying to make it a multi-tool. It's not. It's a scalpel. You don't feed the stream to the tool. You use the stream to build a temporary cache table. Right here. I drew a box. It's an extra step, but it's an in-memory step. You cache the query first. Then you point VizCore at the cache. It's not working with 1 billion records anymore. It's working with 10,000. And it'll render it in a microsecond. I was alive. The fog of the last 4 months, the shame, the exhaustion. It just evaporated. I was me again. I was Mark the architect. We were at that whiteboard for 2 hours. He'd ask a question. What about dataset decay? And I'd answer. You set a 60-second timer. The cache rebuilds. The user never even sees the flicker. The API calls? You're making too many. You batch them. Right here. We weren't a CEO and a janitor. We were just 2 engineers solving a problem. It was the most intense and most fun I'd had in a decade. At 5:30 a.m., he capped the marker and looked at the whiteboard, which was now covered wall-to-wall in my diagrams. This. He said, his voice thick. This is what I've been trying to explain to my team for 3 years. This is elegant. He turned to me. Mark. I don't know what to say. Innovatech didn't just lay you off. They committed an act of corporate suicide. What were they paying you? I told him. He scoffed. That's an insult. I know. I'm not going to offer you a job, Mark. My heart, which had been soaring, crashed. Oh, I understand. Sir, I should get back to. I motioned to my cart. No, he said, holding up a hand. I'm not offering you a job. A job is what you had. A job is what you have now. I am offering you a position. A mission. My team of 6 PhDs. They're brilliant. But they're academics. They're not builders. You are a builder. I'm creating a new role. Director of Data Architecture. It's yours. You'll report directly to me. You will fix this. You will take your baby, and you will make it the engine that runs this entire company. And I will pay you 3 times what Innovatech did. I couldn't speak. I sat back down in the chair. 3 times. That was life-changing. That was pay off the mortgage money. That was kids' college money. Sir, I'm a janitor, I whispered, the word sounding stupid even to me. No, Harrison said, his voice firm. You were a janitor. For about 2 more minutes. You're M_Knight. And I've been waiting a long time to meet you. He looked at the clock. It's 5:45 a.m. Your old shift ends at 7. Go home. Go punch Sal, your supervisor, in the arm and tell him he's a prince for hiring you. Or don't, I don't care. Go home. Sleep for 2 hours. Shave. Put on your best suit. Be in the lobby at 8:50 a.m. We have a new hire orientation to attend. My suit? You own a suit, don't you, Mark? Yes, sir. My layoff suit. Good. Wear that one. It'll be poetic. He grabbed his coat. I'll have my assistant, Carol, meet you in the lobby. She'll have your temporary access badge. Your signing bonus. Let's just say it'll cover your last 4 months of consulting. I walked out of his office in a daze. I pushed my cart, my old squeaky cart, into the service elevator. I rode it down to the basement. Sal was in the office, doing paperwork. Mark, he grunted, not looking up. You're late finishing 22. I stood in the doorway. Sal. I quit. He looked up. His face was unreadable. You quit? Someone say something to you? Was it Harrison? I'll kill him. No, Sal, I said, and I was surprised to find I was choking up. He offered me a job. A different job. A me job. Sal looked at me. He looked at my face, which I'm sure was a wreck of shock and joy. He stood up. He was, I realized, a good man. A tough man, but a good man. He walked over and pulled my gray, sweaty janitor's shirt away from my chest. He looked at the Mark name patch. Well, he said, guess I gotta order a new shirt. And then he grinned. A huge, life-affirming grin. Go on. Get out of here. You were a lousy cleaner anyway. You think too much. I laughed. I actually laughed. I took off the shirt, right there. I handed it to him. I was standing in the basement in my undershirt and my work pants. Thank you, Sal, I said. For everything. Yeah. Don't let the door hit you on the ass. And Mark. Yeah. Don't you ever look down on the man cleaning your office. You hear me? I won't. I promise. I went home. I walked in the door at 7 a.m. Anna was in the kitchen, making coffee, her face etched with the usual morning commute and kid stress. She saw me. Mark? What's wrong? You're home early. And where's your shirt? I walked over to her. I took her in my arms. I was crying. Just sobbing. She held me, terrified. Mark, what happened? Did you get fired? It's okay, honey, it's okay. He offered me a job. I managed to get out. Who? Sal? A promotion. No, I said, pulling back, wiping my face. The CEO. Harrison. From QuantumScape. Anna. He's tripling my old salary. She didn't believe me. I wouldn't have believed me either. I told her the whole story. The code. M_night. The whiteboard. She just sat at our little kitchen table and cried. I took a shower. I shaved. I put on the suit. The one I'd worn to my grandfather's funeral. The only good one I had. I looked in the mirror. I was still Mark. I was still tired. But my eyes were different. They were on fire. I got to the lobby at 8:48 a.m. It was packed. The morning rush. All the Innovatech people, the law firm people, the ad agency people, all of them in their armor of suits and briefcases. A woman with a sharp haircut and a tablet walked right up to me. Mark Johnson. Yes. Carol. Mr. Harrison's EA. He's on his way down. She handed me a badge. This'll get you to 22. Your office is, well, you've seen it. We're just so thrilled you're joining us. The entire analytics team is in a panic. Mr. Harrison sent an email at 6 a.m. It was colorful. Oh God, I said. No, she smiled. They've been waiting for a leader. They just didn't know it. The elevator dinged. The private one, from the executive garage. Mr. Harrison walked out. He was in a fresh, crisp, dark blue suit. He looked every inch the billionaire CEO. He saw me. He smiled. Mark. Glad you made it. He slapped me on the back, in front of everyone. You look better. Ready to get to work. Yes, sir, I said. Good. Let's take the main elevator. I feel like showing off my new hire. He knew. He absolutely knew what he was doing. We walked to the main elevator bank. A car opened. We stepped in. Just me and him. The doors started to close. Hold the door. A hand shot in. The doors reopened. And in walked Kevin. And Sarah. They were holding their lattes. They were laughing about some deal. They didn't even look up, until the doors closed and the elevator started to move. Sarah saw me first. She nudged Kevin. Kevin looked. His eyes went from me, in my suit, to Mr. Harrison, next to me. He froze. Mark, he said, his voice full of confusion. Wow. They let you use the main elevator now? Big shot. Sarah chimed in, with that mean, high school girl voice. Don't you have a uniform? I was about to say something. I don't know what. Something angry. Something small. But Harrison, God bless him, stepped just slightly in front of me. He looked at Kevin. He didn't know Kevin. But he knew his type. He does, Harrison said, his voice a calm, cool baritone that cut through the elevator's hum. It's at the dry cleaners. He won't be needing it. Kevin, finally recognizing who he was in an elevator with, went white. I mean, sheet of paper white. Mr. Harrison. Sir. Good morning. Kevin, isn't it? Harrison said, not even looking at him, just staring at the floor indicator. Innovatech. Floor 15. Yes. You're that project lead, right? The one working on that. KMAX BI dashboard. Kevin was sweating. Yes, sir. That's me. We're making great progress. The elevator dinged. Floor 15. The doors opened. Harrison put his hand on the door open button. He turned full to Kevin. Mark and I were just discussing that project, Harrison said, his voice dropping to a pleasant, conversational, and absolutely lethal tone. He's joining us at QuantumScape as our new director of data architecture. He paused, letting that hang in the air. We find his hands-on approach to problem-solving to be invaluable. He has a rare talent for. He looked right at Kevin, taking out the trash. Kevin's face. I will take that expression with me to my grave. It was a perfect, beautiful, priceless mixture of terror, confusion, and raw, uncut humiliation. Sarah just looked at her shoes. This is your floor, isn't it? Harrison said, his voice bright again. He took his hand off the button. Kevin and Sarah practically fell out of the elevator. The doors closed. The elevator was silent as we ascended. Just before we hit 20, Harrison turned to me. He had a small, satisfied grin. "All right," he said. "Let's get to work. Your first order of business, I want you to look at that team of PhDs. And tell me which ones we keep." "Sir," I said, I can't." He laughed. "I'm kidding, Mark. Mostly. You're going to lead them. They're good. They're just lost. They need an architect." The doors opened on 20. The main floor for QuantumScape. It was different. The silence, the focus. But now, as I walked in with Harrison, people looked up. And they smiled. "Mark," Harrison said, his voice booming for the whole office. "Welcome to QuantumScape. Your real office is on 22, but your work is right here. Let's get you some coffee. And not the swill from the 15th floor." And that was yesterday. Today, I have an office with a view that could make a king weep. I have a team of 6 terrified, brilliant geniuses who, after I spent an hour at the whiteboard, are now looking at me like I'm some sort of wizard. My signing bonus hit my bank account this morning. Anna has already paid the mortgage. For the next 6 months. I just got back from lunch. I went to the deli in the basement. I saw Sal. He was talking to his crew. He saw me in my suit, holding a salad. I walked over. "Hey, Sal." He looked me up and down. "Mr. Johnson," he nodded. "Look at you. All cleaned up." I wanted to. I reached into my pocket. I had an envelope. It had a thank you bonus, for Mr. Harrison, for the entire night crew. "This is, from us. For keeping the place running." Sal took it. He didn't open it. "Thanks, Mark." "No, thank you, Sal." As I was walking away, one of the new guys on his crew, a kid, said, "Who was that?" And I heard Sal say, "That? Oh, that's just Mark. He used to work here." I got on the elevator. The main elevator. As I was riding up, it stopped on 15. The doors opened. It was Kevin. He was standing there, wanting to get on. He saw me. He looked down at his feet. "Sorry," he mumbled. I'll get the next one." He let the doors close. I'm writing this from my new office. I can see the whole city. It's a lot. I'm not really a director any more than I was a janitor. I'm just Mark. A guy who's good at his job. A guy who got lucky. But it wasn't just luck. That's what I'm realizing. I took the janitor job because I had to. Because I'm not too proud to work. I'm not too proud to support my family. Kevin laughed because he is too proud. He thinks work is about the title. He thinks it's about the suit. He doesn't get it. Work isn't about the title. It's about the work. Mr. Harrison didn't hire me because he felt sorry for the janitor. He hired me because he's a builder. And he recognized another builder. I was invisible for 4 months. But it turns out, I was just in the wrong place, showing my work to the wrong people. The most important person in the building wasn't laughing. He was watching. My family kicked me out for being a failure. Now they're begging me to let them move into the house I built. The text from my mother came at 8:02 a.m. I was on site, coffee in one hand, blueprint in the other. My phone buzzed on the tailgate of my truck, and I glanced at it. I didn't recognize the number. "Sam, we know we haven't talked in a long time, but we are in a terrible, terrible situation. Alex, it's all gone. The house, everything. We saw the article about your new company. That beautiful house you built. We need to stay with you. We're your family." I stared at it for 10 full minutes, my coffee going cold. The house, they told me, was a dirt-poor fantasy. The company, they said, was a dead end. The family that put my suitcases on the lawn 8 years ago and told me not to come back until I was a real success. I guess their definition of success just got a major update. And apparently, so did their definition of family. Because now that they're homeless and I'm not, suddenly, I'm their son again. The failure is now their only lifeline. To understand how F***ed up this is, you need to understand my family. My entire life, there were 2 tracks, Alex's track and my track. Alex's track was paved with gold, accolades, and parental approval. Mine was the gravel service road nobody was supposed to see. Alex is 2 years older than me. He was, and I'm not exaggerating, the golden child in every sense of the word. He was reading at 3. He was in advanced placement classes by middle school. He was the star of the debate team, the kind of guy who wore a blazer to high school just because. My parents, Dad in particular, were obsessed. Dad's a mid-level insurance exec who always felt he should have been a VP at a bank. He saw Alex as his do-over. Then there was me. I wasn't stupid, but I just didn't care about the things they cared about. I didn't want to win debate. I wanted to make the podium they were standing on. While Alex was memorizing Latin, I was in the garage taking apart our lawnmower. By 14, I was the only person in the house who could fix the dishwasher, reset the circuit breaker, or patch a hole in the drywall. My dad would watch me, not with pride, but with this weird pinched look on his face. "It's good to be handy, Sam," he'd say, "but a man makes a living with his mind, not his hands." My grades reflected this. Alex had a 4.0, well, a 4.5 with AP classes. I had a 2.8. I aced physics and geometry, but I nearly failed English and history. Not because I couldn't do it, but because the idea of writing a 5-page essay on the scarlet letter felt like literal physical torture. But building a scale model of a cantilever bridge for a physics project? I'd stay up until 3 a.m., loving every second of it. The real rift started in high school, and it was all about the shop class. Our school still had a vocational program: auto shop, metal shop, and wood shop. I lived in the wood shop. My teacher, Mr. Henderson, was the first adult in my life who looked at me like I wasn't a puzzle he couldn't solve. He taught me how to use a lathe. He taught me the difference between a mortise and a tenon. He taught me how to read a blueprint. By junior year, I was building custom furniture that he was helping me sell at local craft fairs. I made $1,200 on a single cherrywood rocking chair. I brought the check home, bursting with pride. I showed my dad. He looked at the check, then at me. I was covered in sawdust. "That's nice, Sam," he said. "That's almost what Alex made per day at his internship last summer." My mom was worse, in a way. She was obsessed with appearances. "What will we tell the Abernethus? That our son is a laborer? Sam, you're so smart. Why are you choosing to be this way?" This was the constant refrain. Why can't you be more like Alex? Alex was at Yale, studying economics. His letters home, which were read aloud at the dinner table like gospel, were full of talk about leveraged buyouts and derivatives. My parents didn't understand a word of it, but they were so proud. The breaking point was college. It was the only thing they ever talked about. The college fund was this mythical pot of gold. Alex is at Yale, and Sam, with his grades, he'll be lucky to get into the state school. I didn't want to go to the state school. I sat them down in the spring of my senior year. Alex was home from break, looking obnoxiously smug in his Yale sweatshirt. "I don't want to go to a 4-year college," I said. The silence was deafening. My mom's hand flew to her pearls. I'm not kidding, she was wearing pearls. "I want to go to the community college," I continued, my voice shaking. "They have one of the best programs in the state for construction management. And I want to get my journeyman's license in carpentry." My dad's face went from white to red. "Construction," he said, the word tasting like poison. "You want to hammer nails for a living." "It's more than that," I argued. "It's project management. It's architecture. It's building things. It's blue collar," he spat. "It's what people do when they have no other options. We gave you every option. We have a college fund. Then use it for the community college program," I said. Alex laughed. Actually laughed. "Sam, that's what, like $5,000 a year? You're going to waste the SAM fund on a 2-year degree in hammering." "What's left of the SAM fund, you mean?" I muttered. My dad heard me. "What did you say?" I said, "What's left of it? You told me last year you had to reallocate some of it for Alex's MBA applications and his summer program in London." This was true. The college fund was really the Alex fund, and I was just the scraps. My dad stood up. "That's because Alex is an investment. He's going to be a success. You are actively choosing failure. You are choosing to embarrass this family. We're not paying for you to be a carpenter, Sam. End of discussion." You will apply to the state university, you will get a business degree, or you are on your own. I looked at my mom. She wouldn't meet my eyes. She was just staring at her plate. Fine, I said. I'll be on my own. I was 18. I got a job as an apprentice for a local framing crew. The work was brutal. 5 a.m., 6 days a week. My hands were raw for the first 6 months. I was the kid, the gopher. Go get the skyhook, go find the board stretcher. Hilarious. But I was learning. I was learning how a house actually came together, from the foundation pour to the final roof truss. I lived in a tiny sh*TTY apartment with 2 other guys. I ate ramen. I was perpetually exhausted. My family's contact was minimal. My mom would call every few weeks. Every call was the same script. Sam, it's not too late. You can still enroll for the spring semester. We can tell our friends you just took a gap year. Your father, he's just so disappointed. I'm happy, Mom, I'd tell her, lying on my bare mattress, my muscles screaming. You're not happy, she'd insist. You're living in filth, and you're working with those people. Alex just got a full-time offer from Goldman Sachs. He's not even 23. Good for Alex, Mom. This went on for 3 years. I worked my way up. I wasn't just a framer anymore. I was good. I was fast. And I was smart, just not in the way they valued. I'd stay late, studying the blueprints. I'd ask the general contractor, Mike, endless questions. Why did the architect spec this? Why is the load-bearing wall here and not here? What's the R value on this insulation? Mike was this grizzled 60-year-old guy with a face like a leather bag. He'd been building houses for 40 years. He became the father figure I'd always wanted. He saw my potential. You got the bug, kid, he'd say. You're not just a nail pounder. You're a builder. He convinced me to enroll in night school. I took classes in construction management, drafting, and business law. I paid for it myself. I was 21 when the real kicked-out moment happened. My truck, a 20-year-old rust bucket, finally died. At the same time, my foreman told me I was ready to move up, but I needed a full set of professional tools, not the mismatched crap I'd inherited. I was broke. I'd just paid for my next semester. I needed about $2,000. I swallowed my pride. I called my parents. It was the first time I'd asked them for a single thing in 3 years. I laid it all out. It's not a handout, I said, my stomach in knots. It's a loan. I'm getting a promotion. I can pay you back with interest in 6 months. My dad got on the phone. His voice was cold. Samuel, we are not investing in a failed enterprise. We gave you your chance. You chose the low road. We are not sending good money after bad. Dad, it's $2,000. You paid more than that for Alex's custom suits for his networking events. Alex's suits are an investment in his future, Dad snapped. Your tools are a symbol of your failure. I lost it. I called him every name in the book. I told him he was a shallow, status-obsessed prick. I told him he didn't have a son. He had a stock portfolio he called Alex. My mom got on the line, crying. How dare you? After everything we've done for you. Your father is right. You're a drag on this family. Alex is bringing home a lovely girl from a wonderful family in finance. We're meeting her parents at the club. What about you? We can't even talk about you. You're an embarrassment. We're done, Sam. We are done. What does that mean, we're done? I asked. It means we're done. Your father is co-signed on your apartment, and he's taking his name off. You have 30 days. Don't call here again. They hung up. I was numb. It wasn't just the money. It was the finality. They didn't just cut me off. They actively evicted me. I told Mike what happened. He just nodded, took a long drag from his cigarette, and said, Families a b asterisk tch kid. How much you need? He loaned me the $2,000, plus another $1,000. Pay me back when you can, he said. And f asterisk ck your dad. That was rock bottom. But it was also the first day of my real life. The next 8 years were a blur of work. That's all I did. I was the first man on site, the last to leave. I got my certifications. I moved from carpenter to foreman to site supervisor. I learned how to bid jobs. I learned how to manage subcontractors. I learned how to read zoning codes. I learned how to sell. I paid Mike back in 4 months. At 25, I met Sarah. She was an architect, fresh out of school, working for a small firm we partnered with. She was brilliant. She'd come on site, and unlike the other design folks, she'd listen to me. I'd tell her, "This looks beautiful on paper, but if you move this beam 6 inches, you'll save $10,000 in custom steel." She didn't get defensive. She'd get curious. We'd argue over blueprints, and those arguments turned into coffee, and that coffee turned into dinner. We were two sides of the same coin. She designed it, I built it. We were partners in every sense of the word. At 26, Mike told me he was retiring. He wanted to sell the company. "The bank'll give a dozen guys a loan for it," he said. "But I'm offering it to you first. Owner financing. You're the only one who won't run it into the ground." I was 26 years old, and I became the owner of a multi-million-dollar construction company. I rebranded it Artisan Custom Homes. We weren't going to be the cheapest. We were going to be the best. At the same time, I bought a piece of land. 10 acres of rundown farmland nobody wanted. It was all rock and scrub, but it had a view. "I'm not buying a house," I told Sarah. "I'm building one." For the next 3 years, every evening, every weekend, that's what we did. Sarah designed it. A beautiful, minimalist, modern barn-dominium. All glass, exposed steel beams, and reclaimed wood. And I built it. With my own 2 hands. I dug the footers. I poured the concrete. I framed the walls. I ran the plumbing. I wired every single outlet. I built the custom walnut cabinets in the kitchen. I welded the steel staircase. I milled the reclaimed oak for the floors. It was my magnum opus. My portfolio. My answer to everything. The house was stunning. It was perfect. We moved in 6 months ago. And then, the article came out. A regional architectural magazine wanted to do a feature on Sarah's firm. They saw our house and scrapped their original story. The feature became about us. From apprentice to artisan, how Sam, my last name, built his dream home. It was a glossy, 10-page spread. Photos of the house. Photos of me, sawdust in my hair, holding a blueprint. Photos of me and Sarah, smiling, on the deck I built, overlooking the valley. The article mentioned the name of my company. I sent a copy to Mike, who was fishing full-time in Florida. I didn't send one to my family. I hadn't spoken to them in almost 8 years. Not a word. I didn't know where they lived. I didn't know anything. And I was fine with that. Until this morning. After I read that text, I did something I hadn't done in years. I Googled my brother. The results were, not from Goldman Sachs. The first hit was from the Wall Street Journal. Local Wonder Boy fund manager charged with fraud. My blood went cold. I read the article. And another. And another. Alex hadn't just been in finance. He'd started his own exclusive hedge fund. He'd guaranteed 30% returns. And he'd gotten all his clients from my dad. From the country club. My dad's boss. The Abernathy's. All of them. And to get it all started, he'd convinced my parents to take out a massive second mortgage on their paid-off house. The market had turned. Alex had doubled down on a bad bet. And it all imploded. He didn't just lose his clients' money. He lost everything. The fund was a house of cards. He was being investigated by the SEC for wire fraud. He was, in short, F***ed. And he'd taken my parents down with him. The bank had foreclosed on their house. Their assets were seized as part of the lawsuit. They had nothing. I felt sick. I'm not a sociopath. It was a horrible, hollow feeling. This was my family. My brother was going to prison. My parents were homeless. But then I reread my mom's text. "We saw the article about your new company. That beautiful house you built. We need to stay with you." Not, "Sam, our world has ended." Not, Sam, Alex is in trouble. Not, Sam, can we talk? It was, we're homeless, and you have a nice house. We're moving in. The entitlement. The audacity. After 8 years of absolute soul-crushing silence. After telling me I was a failed enterprise. After evicting me. They didn't want me. They wanted my house. My phone rang. It was the same unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, a new message popped up. It was my mom. Crying. Hysterically. Samuel, please pick up. We're at a motel. Your father, his heart, he's not well. We have nothing. Alex lost it all. Everything. That monster. He ruined us. We're your family, Sam. We're your parents. You can't let this happen to us. That house, it's so big. We just need a place to stay. Just for a little while. Please, baby. Please don't do this to us. We love you. We love you. I hadn't heard those words from her since I was 17. I showed the text and the voicemail to Sarah. She read it, her face hardening. She'd heard all the stories. She'd held me when I had nightmares about that last phone call. This is your choice, Sam, she said, putting her hand on my arm. 100%. But this is our home. This is the sanctuary we built. This is not a halfway house for the people who tried to break you. And that we love you is 8 years too late and about $1 million short. She was right. But they were in a motel. My dad was sick. I was torn. I was angry. I was pitying them. Before I could decide what to do, my phone rang again. Same number. I answered it. Sam. It was my father. His voice wasn't weak. It was furious. Samuel. Your mother has been calling you. We are in a difficult spot. It is your duty as a son to help us. The pity vanished, replaced by a cold, familiar rage. My duty, I said, my voice flat. Yes, your duty. We made a mistake with Alex. He's a disappointment. A disappointment. The word he used to use on me. So you're swapping disappointments? I asked. The old one failed, so you're crawling to the new one? You watch your tone, he yelled. We gave you everything for 18 years. We put a roof over your head. We fed you. You wouldn't be anything without us. Now we are in need. I'm not asking you, Samuel, I am telling you. We are coming to your house. You will give us a room. No. I said it. It was quiet, but it was final. What did you say? I said, no. You don't get to do this. You don't get to throw me away like trash and then, when your golden boy burns your life to the ground, demand to live in the house I built. The house I built with the failure job you despised. You ungrateful bastard, he sputtered. We are your family. You stopped being my family when you took my dad's name off my lease, I said. You stopped being my family when you told me I was an embarrassment. You didn't call. Not for my 22nd birthday. Not when I was sick. Not when I got my foreman's license. Not when I started my company. You didn't call. You have no right. Don't call me again. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I felt awful. And strong. Then, a new text came in. From a different number. It was Alex. Sam. I know. IF asterisk Ket up. IF asterisk Ket up bad. I can't even. I'm going to prison, man. I know it. But it's not about me. It's them. They're broken. Mom won't stop crying. Dad. He looks 100 years old. They're in some sh asterisk Thol motel. I know you hate me. I know you hate them. And you have every right to. But I'm begging you. Don't do this to them. It's not their fault. It's mine. Please, man. Don't be like them. Don't turn your back on your family. Don't be like them. That hit me. Was I being like them? Was I slamming the door, just like they did to me? I sat there, paralyzed, for an hour. Sarah made me lunch, but I couldn't eat. I was being tested. The universe was testing me. Was I the man Mike had mentored? Or was I just my father's son, but with a different set of prejudices? I made a decision. I called my father's number. He answered on the first ring. "So you've come to your senses," he crowed. "Shut up and listen," I said, cutting him off. "You are not staying in my house. Ever. Let me be clear on that. This home is mine and Sarah's. It is not, and will never be, your safety net. You burned that bridge. How dare you? I'm not finished. I am not you. I will not turn my back. Here is what I am going to do. I am going to pay for the deposit and the first 2 months' rent on a 2-bedroom apartment in the city. A modest, clean apartment. Nothing fancy. I will have groceries delivered there. That is all. It is more than you gave me. After 2 months, you are on your own. You can get a job. Mom can get a job." There was silence. Then, my mother's voice. An apartment? Sam, we don't want an apartment. We want to be with our son. We want my house, I finished for her. "No. You don't get my house. You get this offer. It's final. Take it or leave it." "And Alex," she whispered. "Alex is a grown man," I said. "He's about to face the consequences of his actions. I am not bailing him out. But, he's your brother. And you're my mother. You evicted me. You told me I was a failure. You get this," I said, my voice rising. "You get the apartment. That's the deal." "Fine," my dad barked. "Fine. Send us the money." "I'm not sending you money," I said. "I'm sending the leasing office the money. And I'm sending you the address. I'll have the power turned on." I hung up. I found an apartment complex online. I made the arrangements. It cost me $4,000. I sent them the address and the key pickup information. I got one text back from my mom. "You're a cruel, cruel man, Samuel. We raised a monster." I blocked the number. I blocked Alex's number. That was 6 weeks ago. I thought it was over. Then last night, I got a call. From an old aunt, my mom's sister. She'd heard what happened. "Sam, your mother she's not well. She's depressed. And your father, he's not looking for work. He's just sitting in that apartment. They're going to be on the street again in 3 weeks. They're too proud to ask again." Too proud. I said, laughing. They weren't too proud to demand my house. They're broken," she said. "And Alex's trial, it's starting. It's a mess. Sam, they're your parents. They made a mistake." "A mistake?" I said. "A mistake is forgetting a birthday. What they did was a choice. A conscious, years-long choice to treat me like I was garbage because I like to build things. And now the only thing I've ever built that they value is my house, and only because they need a place to live. So that's it? You're just done? You'd let them be homeless." "I gave them $4,000, I said. "That's $4,000 more than they ever gave me when I needed it. I'm done, Aunt Clara." I hung up. And now I'm here. Lying in the bed I built, in the house I built, next to the woman I love. And I don't know. I feel sick. I feel guilty. I feel angry. My dad, 60 years old, stocking shelves at a Walmart? My mom, a greeter? It feels wrong. But then I remember. My hands, 18 years old, bleeding, trying to frame a wall in the rain. I remember the cold of my apartment. I remember my father's voice. "You are a failed enterprise." I guess my question, Reddit, is, am I the A** for holding the line? For not letting them in? Sarah says I'm not. She says I'm just protecting the life I bled for. But they're my parents. And they're about to be on the street. I don't know what to do. I really don't.